Lord Cheongang rests peacefully on a vibrant green field, bathed in the gentle glow of sunlight filtering through the swaying trees above. Her hands reach out, stretching towards the sky, a silent gesture of awakening amidst the verdant embrace of nature. A sigh of relief escapes into the brilliant blue sky as sparkling light and delicate petals drift gently downwards. Phew! Lord Cheongang sits up, her arms flung wide in a joyous stretch, a radiant smile gracing her face as she welcomes the day. Lord Cheongang gazes forward with a determined smile, thinking that if she can just hold out a little longer. She sits calmly, her dark hair flowing around her, a serene expression settling upon her features amidst the soft, glowing light. Her thoughts continue, reflecting that this dreadful life as a maid will finally reach its end. The narrative shifts, revealing that the protagonist in her original life resided in South Korea, working late into the night. That fateful day, the protagonist simply drifted off to sleep while engrossed in a novel, just as she often did. But upon opening her eyes, the protagonist found herself transformed, now a 13-year-old girl surrounded by an ethereal glow and blooming blue flowers. Sudden, drastic shift in her surroundings plunged Lady Hua into an absolute state of panic, though now she understands this world exists within a novel. Back then, however, Lady Hua had no comprehension of her new location, spending the entire day in a state of utter bewilderment. Her instincts, meanwhile, urged Lady Hua not to create a scene, but to quietly observe and go about her business. Thus, Lady Hua chose to focus entirely on the immediate tasks at hand, navigating her new reality with caution. 1 week after her arrival, Lady Hua was diligently washing clothes in a large wooden tub, a blush on her cheeks. Suddenly, a hand reaches out with startling speed, cutting through the air. Lady Hua is abruptly seized from behind, her body jolting in shock as an exclamation of surprise escapes her. A voice booms, scolding the startled Lady Hua, demanding to know if her granny hadn't instructed her to return home every 5 days. Madame Kwok, visibly enraged, questions if Lady Hua, simply because she became a maid at the demonic cult's castle, has already forgotten her own granny. Lady Hua timidly asks, "Our granny?" Madame Kwok's voice continues, demanding to know why Lady Hua has such a look, asking if she's already forgotten her own granny's face. Lady Hua internally wonders how she should respond, but before she can, Madame Kwok declares, "Anyway, let's go," and pulls her along. Lady Hua is dragged away, clutching her earlobe in pain, as Madame Kwok informs her that her granny has already arranged everything. Lady Hua looks genuinely scared, rubbing her sore earlobe, muttering, "I'm scared." Despite Madame Kwok's terrifying demeanor, as if she would beat her upon returning home, she instead boiled and served a delicious plate of meat to Lady Hua, defying all expectations. Lady Hua stares at the steaming dish, a silent gulp escaping her as her eyes widen in a mix of awe and burgeoning hunger. Madame Kwok gently pats Lady Hua's head, expressing concern that her face has withered to half its size in just a few days. Madame Kwok encourages Lady Hua to eat, proudly stating she bought the best meat available at the market especially for her, clearing her throat subtly. "Eat up." Lord Cheongang looks down, a subtle blush on her cheeks, her expression a mix of apprehension and quiet contemplation. The atmosphere around her sparkles, hinting at a moment of internal thought. Madame Kwok watches on with a gentle smile, her eyes crinkling with warmth as she continues to prepare the meal. The soft clatter of dishes fills the air. Lord Cheongang, in her chibified state, ponders internally, questioning the necessity of her current role as a maid. Madame Kwok, meanwhile, reassures her, confidently stating her own body is still robust enough to care for her. Lord Cheongang, with a heavy sigh, internally muses over the perplexing decision of her body's original owner to take a maid's position within what she perceives as a den of demons. A hand expertly scoops a generous portion of steaming, flavorful meat and vegetables from the pot, the aroma almost palpable. The narrator reveals the poignant truth. The original owner's sacrifice was for her grandmother, who endured immense hardship to raise her. Madame Kwok continues to serve, her actions radiating quiet dedication. As Lord Cheongang lifts a piece of meat with her chopsticks, she realizes the grim reality. Even if she desired to quit, a signed contract binds her, making escape impossible. Madame Kwok, with a look of serious concern, advises Lord Cheongang to remain extremely cautious. She explains that while encountering the leader or young lords is unlikely, one can never be too careful. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in stark alarm, a sudden realization washing over her as she utters a name in disbelief. "Jeek Wibuk?" Madame Kwok confirms, her voice grave, that Jeek Wibuk is indeed infamous for his unparalleled ruthlessness. A system prompt identifies Jeek Wibuk as the candidate for young leader. Madame Kwok's warning continues, her words hinting at the danger associated with him. Madame Kwok sternly warns Lord Cheongang that if she ever encounters Jeek Wibuk, she must keep her head down, as he is known as the next heavenly demon. A flashback reveals Lord Cheongang's past life, where she often encountered that very name in the martial arts novels she devoured before transmigrating into this world. No way, Lord Cheongang gasps, a new realization dawning as she urgently asks Madame Kwok if she also knows the name of the second young lord. Madame Kwok, surprised, echoes the question. Lord Cheongang's chibified form screams in utter despair, her internal monologue crying out, "I knew it! Why?" A stylized panel introduces the Orthodox faction, hinting at a significant power group within this world. The narrator describes the protagonist of the novel, a character renowned for his martial prowess and thrilling, rapid development. The name of this central figure is then dramatically set up. Charismatic figure, possessing a quiet charm, commanded idol-like popularity within the cult, his presence exuding an almost ethereal glow. The chibified fangirls swoon, their hearts captivated by the realization that the immensely popular second young lord is none other than Jeek Ijeon. Lord Cheongang's face is etched with worry, a bead of sweat tracing her temple as she internally concludes that the situation was quite literally. The narrative reveals the horrifying truth. He was a demon itself, known to brutally tear his subordinates to pieces merely for catching his eye on a bad day. Chilling description continues, painting a picture of a man so depraved he would even slaughter his own siblings and father. The final, horrifying verdict is delivered. He was an unprecedented, insane psychopath. Lord Cheongang, her face grim, acknowledges her inescapable fate. She must continue living in this world. However, her resolve hardens to avoid Jeek Ijeon at all costs. A glimmer of hope appears in Lord Cheongang's determined eyes as she realizes her fortunate timing. She reincarnated long before the novel's perilous events are set to unfold. With a strategic mind, Lord Cheongang resolves to keep her presence as low-key as possible, focusing all her efforts on holding out until the critical moments arrive. The narrative then shifts, bringing us back to the present. A radiant smile blossoms across Lord Cheongang's face, her eyes closed in pure joy as she basks in a moment of profound happiness, surrounded by a gentle, sparkling aura. Lord Cheongang, gazing up at the grand structures of her current residence, mentally declares that after her tenacious endurance, her contract will finally conclude in just 2 months. Her mind races, contemplating her first actions upon regaining her freedom. Her thoughts solidify into a clear plan. She must rescue her grandmother and escape the demonic cult. She believes that by relocating far away, she can avoid any entanglement with Jeek Ijeon, ensuring their safety. Lord Cheongang envisions a peaceful future, perhaps sightseeing with her grandmother amidst beautiful scenery. She smiles, satisfied with the significant amount of money she has diligently saved through frugal living. From behind, Sooke observes Lord Cheongang, who stands illuminated by a subtle glow. Sooke's posture suggests an immediate, surprised reaction to spotting her. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen slightly in a moment of realization, a soft "oh" escaping her lips as she notices Sooke's presence. Sooke exclaims Lord Cheongang's name with an exasperated tone, demanding to know her purpose there, her expression a mix of surprise and frustration. Sooke, looking down at Lord Cheongang, presses further, her voice laced with urgency as she asks if Lord Cheongang comprehends the extent of her search. Sooke's hand firmly clasps Lord Cheongang's arm, her voice filled with a mix of awe and disbelief as she questions what kind of blessing Lord Cheongang was born with, a subtle sparkle of magic accompanying her words. Sooke beams, delivering momentous news to a stunned Lord Cheongang, a congratulatory announcement of her assignment as the second young lord's personal maid. Lord Cheongang can only manage a silent exclamation of shock. Lord Cheongang's eyes are wide with disbelief, her mouth slightly agape as she struggles to form a word, completely overwhelmed by the unexpected news. Sunlight streams through an intricately designed window, illuminating the elegant wooden interior of a traditional room adorned with hanging lanterns, creating a serene atmosphere. Madame Kwok, identified as the head maid of the demonic cult, confirms the news with a gentle, knowing smile, her hand resting thoughtfully on her cheek. A chibi representation of Lord Cheongang reacts with wide-eyed terror, her internal thought confirming the shocking truth of the announcement, surrounded by a crackling aura of disbelief. Madame Kwok observes Lord Cheongang, who kneels on the floor, remarking on her visibly shocked demeanor, a subtle observation about another's meticulous touch lingering in her thoughts. Lord Cheongang's face contorts in distress, her internal monologue acknowledging Madame Kwok's perspective while struggling with her own turbulent emotions, represented by a chibi Madame Kwok smiling above. The narrative explains the immense significance of becoming a personal maid in this world, highlighting the massive promotion it entails, bringing both a substantial salary increase and the potential for a complete life transformation by catching the eye of a high-ranking figure. Lord Cheongang politely expresses her gratitude for Madame Kwok's high regard, but humbly states her inability to accept the position. Madame Kwok, taken aback, immediately questions her refusal. Looking downcast, Lord Cheongang reveals her true intention. Despite the offer to become the second young lord's personal maid, she plans to quit her maid job entirely in 2 months. Lord Cheongang continues her explanation, emphasizing her overwhelming concern for her grandmother and the demanding nature of running their family shop. Lord Cheongang continues her explanation, emphasizing her overwhelming concern for her grandmother and the demanding nature of running their family shop. Madame Kwok, visibly aged, adds that her health is not what it used to be. So okay, seemingly sympathetic, responds with a thoughtful, is that so? While Lord Cheongang internally grumbles about being used as an excuse. The sigh of resignation, So-okay concedes, stating that if it is truly Lord Cheongang's wish, then it cannot be helped. Lord Cheongang, however, is filled with renewed determination, exclaiming a triumphant yes. Lord Cheongang, with a sly, knowing smile, declares that Shin Sealha will attend to the second young lord for the remaining 2 months. Shin Sealha, utterly taken aback, questions Lord Cheongang's words, her eyes wide with shock. Lord Cheongang explains that she had naturally assumed Shin Sealha would accept the role, and this sudden turn of events has left her without an immediate alternative. The unnamed attendant, with a gentle smile and a reassuring gesture, promises to find a suitable replacement within the allocated time. The unnamed attendant continues, instructing Shin Sealha to work as the second young lord's personal maid until a replacement is found, leaving Shin Sealha utterly speechless and horrified. Shin Sealha questions the decision, wondering if it wouldn't be better to appoint someone else from the very beginning instead of recruiting a new maid. Internally, the unnamed attendant ponders where else she could easily find someone as quick-handed, literate, and reliable as Shin Sealha, while Shin Sealha herself worries about being sent to the second young lord's side. Lord Cheongang instructs Shin Sealha to report directly to the second young lord's quarters starting tomorrow morning and to familiarize herself with a provided booklet within the day, causing Shin Sealha to exclaim in utter disbelief. Shin Sealha, utterly distressed, tries to plead with Lord Cheongang, begging her to wait, but her words are cut short. Lord Cheongang leans in, her smile now menacing, asking Shin Sealha if she understands, leaving Shin Sealha speechless and terrified. Shin Sealha can only manage a defeated as her world seems to spin, the implications of her new assignment fully sinking in. The scene transitions to a title card, marking the beginning of a new chapter. A new perspective begins, a quiet reflection on the unfolding events. Madame Kwok looks sternly at Shin Sealha, questioning if she truly cried her eyes out simply because she didn't want to be the second young lord's personal maid. Shin Sealha, still tearful and downcast, mutters a quiet yeah in confirmation. Background shifts, a moment of transition. Madame Kwok expresses her exasperation, lamenting that she had thought Shin Sealha was hurt or had lost money, only to find she was wailing simply because she didn't want to be a personal maid. Shin Sealha protests, explaining that it's not simply a matter of not wanting the job, but that a single mistake could cost her head. Madame Kwok, however, scolds her, asking if she thinks the second young lord is some kind of human butcher. Madame Kwok continues to dismiss Shin Sealha's fears, arguing that any mistake she could make would be trivial and wouldn't warrant such a severe punishment. Shin Sealha, however, defiantly tries to explain that to people like the second young lord. Shin Sealha tries to articulate that powerful individuals treat a maid's life as worthless, but she's cut off by another sharp strike from Madame Kwok, who retorts that if she was so terrified, she shouldn't have taken the job at all. Madame Kwok continues her scolding, pointing out Shin Sealha's past disregard for her advice and questioning why she's throwing a tantrum now. Shin Sealha internally laments that she can't reveal the truth about the original Shin Sealha, while Madame Kwok, trying to shift the mood, declares that these wild thoughts are simply a result of an empty stomach. Madame Kwok urges Shin Sealha to hurry up and eat, but Shin Sealha, still glum, admits she has no appetite. Madame Kwok, however, silently enforces her will, ensuring Shin Sealha finishes every last bite. Madame Kwok observes Shin Sealha with a thoughtful silence, perhaps sensing her deep-seated unease. Shin Sealha, mid-meal, breaks the silence, asking Madame Kwok why the previous maid was said to have quit. Madame Kwok, surprised by the question, asks if Shin Sealha is referring to her predecessor. Madame Kwok asks if Shin Sealha hadn't heard anything about it, prompting Shin Sealha to ponder, Shin Seolha's thoughts turn grim as she recalls the original novel, noting the lack of detailed descriptions about the maids, but deducing a chilling truth based on the circumstances. Chilling realization washes over Shin Seolha as she internally questions, didn't she die? The panel shatters around Madame Kwok, emphasizing the shocking truth. A single word escapes her lips, a raw exclamation of disbelief. What? So-okay confronts Shin Seolha, demanding to know what prompted such an outrageous statement. Seolha, what on earth do you know that makes you blurt that out? Are you absolutely certain that the maid is dead? Shin Seolha hesitates, admitting, it's not like I saw it with my own eyes, but... Madame Kwok's face clouds with concern as she recalls a chilling rumor. I heard rumors that the first young lord loves to play around with poisons. A grim thought follows, if that's true, wouldn't it be hard for anyone to survive? A voice instructs Shin Seolha, Seolha, come straight upstairs to the second floor once you finish eating. Shin Seolha, mid-meal, looks up in confusion, uttering a simple, huh, as Madame Kwok stands before her. The reason is revealed, because your granny has something to give you. The grand interior of the building shimmers with an ethereal glow. With trembling hands, Shin Seolha reaches for a small, ornate wooden box, her voice barely a whisper, Granny. Shin Seolha's eyes widen in utter shock as she holds the open box, revealing a dazzling blood-cleansing pill. She exclaims, how does this precious blood-cleansing pill, which is hard to find even if you have the money, come out of Granny's drawer? In a frantic chibi chase, Shin Seolha lunges after Madame Kwok, who holds the pill box. Shin Seolha cries out, Granny, don't tell me you spent all the money I earned from working. Still bewildered, Shin Seolha presses Madame Kwok. Then where on earth did you get this? Madame Kwok, looking flustered, begins to explain this, you see. Chibi Madame Kwok winks mischievously, claiming, careless customer left it behind. Shin Seolha's skepticism is clear, and you expect me to believe that right now? Shin Seolha internally assesses the pill's true value. Against ultimate poisons like the formless poison or silver firefly venom, it's entirely useless, but it's still better than nothing. Madame Kwok feigns indifference. Well, if you really don't want it, Shin Seolha quickly interjects. No, I want it, please let me have it. Overjoyed, Shin Seolha hugs and kisses Madame Kwok, expressing heartfelt gratitude. Granny, thank you. You know I only have our Madame Kwok, right? There's no way Granny would give me something bad. Shin Seolha's thoughts race. So does the source even matter right now? The important thing is that this is a blood-cleansing pill. A determined smile graces Shin Seolha's lips, her eyes sparkling with newfound resolve. Shin Seolha muses, at any rate, I managed to score an unexpected treasure thanks to Granny. Her resolve hardens. Granny, I'll ensure to come back alive, so we can definitely leave together and go somewhere far away. Under a starlit sky, Chibi Shin Seolha declares confidently, now there's zero chance of me dying from tasting poisoned food. Chibi Madame Kwok chides her playfully, is that any way to talk right in front of your granny? The scene shifts to a serene landscape, a vast blue sky stretching over distant traditional buildings, with lush green foliage framing the view. Shin Seolha walks gracefully, her light blue traditional dress swaying gently. Her thoughts continue, I knew Ijeon W. Group of women whispers amongst themselves, their expressions a mix of surprise and concern as unseen events unfold around them. Shin Seolha, walking away, reflects, so I figured he would have just as many envious haters. Her nervous smile betrays her unease as she feels the hostile glares. But to think they would look at me with such sheer hostility. My back is stinging from all these intense glares. A chibi Shin Seolha stands before a grand entrance, reflecting on an exceptionally exhausting day. Shin Seolha's expression turns to surprise as a voice calls out to her directly, hey, you there! The serene sky and traditional architecture are once again visible as a new presence seems to manifest with a distinct sound, hinting at a new encounter. New presence manifests, and Shin Seolha, a woman with light brown hair, immediately confronts it, declaring, I never would have pegged you for that type. Shin Seolha continues her aggressive tone, asserting, but you certainly have a lot of nerve, don't you? The young woman with dark hair, Lady Hua, looks up in surprise, questioning, pardon? Lady Hua, still processing the sudden confrontation, wonders internally, who the hell are those girls? As the tension hangs in the air, Lady Hua tries to recall the face of her accuser, thinking, I feel like I've seen her face among the second-year seniors. Lady Hua continues to ponder, was her name Dui or something? Meanwhile, Shin Seolha, standing defiantly, dismissively remarks, you sure have a lot of nerve for someone with your looks. Shin Seolha points an accusing finger at Lady Hua, yelling, how dare you aim for the second young lord? Lady Hua simply replies, I am not. Shin Seolha presses on, asking, don't tell me your goal is to become the mistress of Jeonyang Pavilion. Lady Hua, still composed, answers, of course it is not. Shin Sealha continues to belittle Lady Hua, asking, do you really think the second young lord would ever pay attention to someone like you? You better wake up from your little dream. Lady Hua, with a subtle smirk, retorts, I think you seniors are the ones who need to wake up, though. Shin Sealha lets out a condescending laugh, adding, ha, I heard you have no parents and only live with your grandmother. Shin Sealha's cruel words continue to sting, implying, it is obvious you grew up completely uneducated. As Lady Hua stands with her back to them, the other women, including Lord Cheongang and an unnamed attendant, mock her with laughter, remarking, as expected of someone like her. Lady Hua, however, simply smirks to herself, a sly thought crossing her mind, my. The off-panel seniors grow impatient, asking, did you suddenly become a mute? Why is there no answer when your senior is speaking to you? Lady Hua, with a knowing smile, responds, were you waiting for my response? Lady Hua's eyes sharpen as she delivers a cutting retort, stating, but what can I do? A person has to speak words that actually make sense for me to reply. Lady Hua continues her verbal assault, declaring, you are all taking turns talking absolute nonsense, so I can't understand a single thing. There are many things I am good at, but unfortunately, I haven't learned how to speak gibberish yet. Shin Sealha and Lord Cheongang are enraged, with Shin Sealha shouting, what? Why, you cheeky brat? Do you think you can just mouth off like that? With a sudden, furious motion, Shin Sealha launches a swift strike, her arm blurring with intent. Lady Hua, with incredible speed, parries the incoming attack, deflecting Shin Sealha's arm with a sharp block. Shin Sealha, mid-attack, is caught off guard by the unexpected block, her furious expression twisting into shock as she exclaims, you must really want to die by my hands. Whoa, wait! Lady Hua's eyes narrow with fierce determination, her dark hair sweeping as she prepares her counterattack. Energy crackles around Lady Hua's hand as she prepares to unleash a powerful strike, the air swirling with her focused intent. Shin Sealha recoils violently, bright impact effects radiating from her as Lady Hua's counterattack lands with devastating force. Shin Sealha lies defeated at Lady Hua's feet, while the unnamed attendant gasps in shock, exclaiming, eek! The other women stare in disbelief at the sudden turn of events. Lady Hua smiles confidently, explaining, my grandmother taught me early on that I need to know how to protect myself, so she gave me some early education. With an innocent yet challenging expression, Lady Hua offers, I would absolutely love to show you seniors more of what I learned. Lord Cheongang, still reeling from the shock, stammers, why you? Lord Cheongang and the unnamed attendant cower in fear, a shadowy, ominous presence looming behind them as Lord Cheongang cries out, how dare you do this to someone who stands far above you? The unnamed attendant adds, so arrogant. Amidst the serene traditional architecture, a distant cry of arg echoes, hinting at the continued chaos of the encounter. Amidst the serene traditional architecture, a distant cry of arg echoes, hinting at the continued chaos of the encounter. Lord Cheongang, however, is quick to clarify a deep misunderstanding, stating that among all the maids in the castle, she is probably the only one with absolutely zero interest in the second young lord. Soo-kei reacts in utter disbelief, a single word escaping her lips. What? Lord Cheongang firmly declares that the second young lord is nothing but a disaster to her, questioning who would ever seek the attention of such a calamity. Yet, a fleeting thought reveals her true curiosity. She actually wants to see how handsome he is. Lord Cheongang dismisses the topic, hoping they won't bother her with it again, asking if they now understand. Soo-kei, however, remains skeptical, wondering if her words are true, and if it's appropriate to speak of the second young lord in such a manner. With a sudden burst of authority, Lord Cheongang commands them to disperse and clean the Jeonyang Pavilion, emphasizing that there is no time to be standing around when so much work awaits. As the maids begin to disperse, Lord Cheongang extends a final plea, hoping they can all get along while she serves as his personal maid. Later, Lord Cheongang finds herself alone, sitting beneath a tree, a pensive expression on her face as her long hair cascades around her. A silent moment passes, filled with Lord Cheongang's unspoken thoughts and contemplations. Her thoughts echo her earlier statement, musing on the term a disaster as the grand traditional architecture of the castle stands tall under a bright sky, marking the beginning of the next chapter. The intricate details of the traditional palace roof glint under the sunlight, showcasing the grandeur of her new surroundings. A weary sigh escapes Lord Cheongang, her feet barely visible as she walks, reflecting her inner turmoil. Lord Cheongang laments her earlier outburst, regretting that despite her firm resolve to remain unnoticed, she caused a scene right in Jeek Ijeon's front yard, wishing she had contained her anger. She reflects on Jeek Ijeon, acknowledging his monstrous power that transcends human limits, yet reminding herself that at this moment he is merely a 19-year-old boy. With a renewed sense of determination, Lord Cheongang resolves to simply do well from this point forward. She mentally steels herself, urging herself not to falter and to simply continue doing what she has always done, as sunlight illuminates the ornate interior. Lord Cheongang stands firm, her resolve palpable, ready to face whatever comes next. With a deep breath, Lord Cheongang acknowledges that the moment she opens this door, her true work will officially begin. Despite her resolve, a quiet thought reveals her true desire to finish her tasks quickly and return home. As Lord Cheongang enters, she is met by the calm gaze of Jik Aijian, her own expression a mix of surprise and apprehension. Jik Aijian's brow furrows slightly, a soft huh escaping him as he regards Lord Cheongang. Lord Cheongang gazes up at him, a sudden realization dawning upon her as she thinks, this person. Her thoughts race, a flurry of hearts and question marks surrounding her as she wonders, could it be Cheongang? Narrator reveals Lord Cheongang's true significance. She is the sole individual in the entire narrative capable of calming Jik Aijian, destined to be known as the Blood Sword Soul. Her future is foretold, earning her the greatest merit in assisting the demonic cult to unify the entire martial world. Lord Cheongang, lost in her thoughts, gushes over Jik Aijian, her absolute favorite character from the novel. She recalls him as a deeply devoted, pure-hearted demonic martial artist who only loves one woman. Her reverie is abruptly broken as a voice asks if she is the new personal maid. The new maid, Shroomhua, introduces herself to Lord Cheongang, stating her assignment as the second young lord's personal maid. Lord Cheongang responds, confirming her own name. Shroomhua smiles warmly, explaining her role in protecting the second young lord and expressing her anticipation for working together. Lord Cheongang, charmed by Shroomhua's sweetness, internally gushes about how kind she is, her chibi form radiating hearts. Shroomhua informs Lord Cheongang that the young lord is currently absent but will return soon, inviting her to wait inside the house in the meantime. Shroomhua politely takes her leave, and Lord Cheongang bids her farewell, expressing her hope to see her again soon. The ornate wooden doors close with a soft sound, leaving the hallway quiet. Lord Cheongang looks around thoughtfully, a puzzled expression on her face, as she quietly murmurs her observations. She surveys the room, noting the grand, noble bed. She thinks it feels surprisingly empty for the residence of the son of the heavenly demon. Lord Cheongang approaches the bed, deep in thought, recalling a crucial detail from the novel. Jik Aijian never allowed anyone else to use his bed. Her thoughts drift to the novel's dark history, where countless women who attempted to seduce Jik Aijian met a swift end. The memory flashes vividly, depicting a hand in opulent robes, as the narration confirms these women were killed before they could even utter a single word. Lord Cheongang, in her chibi form, blushes with a hint of exasperation, finding it ironic that she, as his maid, is now tasked with making his bed. A close-up reveals Lord Cheongang's thoughtful expression, her eyes reflecting deep contemplation. She wonders about the extent of Jik Aijian's legendary handsomeness, questioning how alluring he must be for women to risk their lives to seduce him, even knowing the gruesome fate of their predecessors. The novel described him as more beautiful than any woman. Lord Cheongang stands, pondering the impossibility of imagining a face so exquisitely beautiful that it would compel someone to willingly sacrifice their life. Suddenly, an ethereal vision of Jik Aijian appears, striking and otherworldly in his beauty, causing Lord Cheongang to internally acknowledge that such a face might indeed be worth risking everything for. A close-up captures the imagined profile of Jik Aijian, his features sculpted with an almost divine elegance, radiating a captivating aura. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in a mixture of shock and intense blush as she gasps out Jik Aijian's name. She looks up in utter disbelief, confirming the presence of Jik Aijian himself, standing tall and imposing before her. Lord Cheongang lets out a soft, awestruck wow as her gaze takes in the magnificent room and perhaps the stunning individual before her, the scene enhanced by gently falling leaves. Still stunned, Lord Cheongang realizes that even the novel's elaborate descriptions failed to capture the true essence of his overwhelming beauty. She observes Jik Aijian's face, thinking that if not for his intense, glaring gaze, he would be perfect enough to stare at forever. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen further, reflecting a mix of shock and dawning realization, framed by sparkling light. Jik Aijian glares down at Lord Cheongang, his voice sharp and accusatory, mistakenly calling her Shroomhua and declaring that she has lost her mind. A system notification flashes, confirming the terrifying truth. Her opponent is indeed Jik Aijian, as his dark, menacing aura surrounds him, causing a chibi Lord Cheongang to cower in fear. The system box continues, revealing the chilling description of Jeek Ijeon as a crazy, psychopathic murderer. Suddenly, the lively Shin Seolha, the newly assigned personal maid, bursts onto the scene with a cheerful greeting, then departs just as quickly, leaving a tiny, startled Lord Cheon gang in her wake. Meanwhile, the enigmatic Jeek Ijeon stands in quiet contemplation, his presence alone commanding a silent, uneasy stillness. His imposing aura is palpable, as unseen attendants scatter in terror, their cries echoing faintly in the distance, a testament to the fear he inspires. It's a stark contrast to Lord Cheon Gang, who, in a past moment of confidence, radiated a fearless and unwavering spirit. Yet, even Jeek Ijeon shows a flicker of something deeper, his hand resting thoughtfully at his throat, a subtle tension in his posture. A pained, almost sorrowful expression crosses Jeek Ijeon's face, sweat beading on his skin, hinting at an inner struggle beneath his fearsome exterior. But now, Lord Cheon Gang's demeanor is entirely different, her profile etched with worry and a palpable sense of unease. Her internal panic is evident as a chibi version of Lord Cheon Gang floats in distress, questioning whether she might be killed simply for existing in his presence. The narrative shifts as we transition to the next chapter, marked by this vibrant title card. Lord Cheon Gang sighs in exhaustion, her hand wiping sweat from her brow as she laments the vastness of the estate, having spent the entire afternoon cleaning. With arms crossed, Lord Cheon Gang reflects on her earlier weakness, admitting she almost fell for Jeek Ijeon's good looks despite knowing he was a psychopath and realizing her own susceptibility. Her thoughts spiral, a chibi Lord Cheon Gang expressing disbelief at her own attraction, wondering why everyone made such a fuss over him in the book, but now understanding firsthand his captivating, albeit dangerous, charm. Standing in a grand doorway, Lord Cheon Gang acknowledges the undeniable truth. After seeing Jeek Ijeon's face, she now fully understands his allure. Suddenly, Jeek Ijeon appears in a powerful stance, sword raised high, his entire being radiating intense focus and raw, physical might under the sparkling sky. The blade of his sword glints with blinding intensity, reflecting the sheer force behind his movements. With a sharp pa, a surge of brilliant blue energy erupts from the ground, marking the impact of his rigorous training. Jeek Ijeon moves with incredible speed, a blur of blue energy trailing behind him as he executes a swift, precise sword maneuver. Lord Cheon Gang watches, her expression a mix of surprise and awe, noting that he practices swordsmanship purely through physical strength, without relying on internal energy. Jeek Ijeon, now visibly exhausted and wiping sweat from his brow, continues his relentless practice, leaving Lord Cheon Gang to marvel at the possibility of such a feat without internal energy. A close-up reveals Jeek Ijeon's strained, determined face, prompting Lord Cheon Gang to utter a soft wow in sheer admiration of his raw power. Snapping back to reality, Lord Cheon Gang remembers her duties, realizing it's time to begin preparing the meal. The warm glow of the afternoon sun bathes the traditional estate, signaling the passage of time and a shift in the day's events. An unnamed attendant approaches with a polite greeting, addressing Lord Cheon Gang directly. Lord Cheon Gang, with a slight, nervous smile, announces that she has brought the meal for the second young lord. Her hands carefully hold a tray, upon which rests a lidded pot containing the simple meal for the young lord. The unnamed attendant gestures towards the open doorway, instructing Lord Cheon Gang that the young lord is inside and she may enter. As Lord Cheon Gang steps into the room, still carrying the meal, she spots the young lord, a sudden realization or surprise flashing across her mind. The young lord, revealed to be Jeek Ijeon, sits in visible distress, tears welling in his eyes, a sight that elicits a shocked "aff" from Lord Cheon Gang, utterly taken aback by his unexpected vulnerability. Still reeling from the young lord's unexpected vulnerability, Lord Cheon Gang's mind races, wondering if he has just bathed and why he hasn't properly dried himself. A steaming pot of what appears to be a hearty noodle dish is presented, its warmth inviting and fragrant. The young lord gazes at the unfamiliar meal with a look of mild disbelief, uttering a single questioning word, "What?" He continues to eye the dish skeptically, his thoughts clearly questioning, "Is this food?" as Lord Cheon Gang observes his reaction. The dish is revealed in full, a whole chicken nestled within a steaming bowl of noodles, identified as chicken kalguksu. Lord Cheon Gang explains the dish is highly nutritious and excellent for replenishing energy, before a sudden realization sparks in her mind, causing her to pause. Flustered, Lord Cheon Gang recalls her grandmother always made her chicken kalguksu for a health boost, realizing she prepared it instinctively and now wonders if she should take it back. The reason for the Jamiguan maid's bewildered expressions flashes through her mind, remembering their incredulous question about serving chicken kalguksu to the young lord. The young lord, now calm, contemplates the dish before him, a thoughtful hum escaping his lips. He skillfully picks up a generous portion of noodles with his chopsticks, bringing them to his mouth to taste the unfamiliar meal. Loud slurping sounds fill the air as the young lord continues to eat, while Lord Cheongang watches him with a subtle, hopeful expression. Faint blush graces the young lord's cheeks as he savors the meal, his eyes gently closed in quiet contentment. The young lord places his chopsticks down next to the now empty bowl, offering a concise verdict, "Not bad." Lord Cheongang gasps in surprise as the young lord remarks on how much more filling this meal feels compared to his usual fare. A radiant smile lights up Lord Cheongang's face, sparkling with pure delight at the young lord's unexpected compliment. An unnamed attendant observes that the young lord must have genuinely enjoyed the meal prepared for him as the scene shifts to a grand exterior. The unnamed attendant continues, emphasizing the young lord's enjoyment, noting he finished every drop and even requested more. Lord Cheongang expresses her surprise, admitting she had assumed the young lord naturally ate a lot, but now questions if that was truly the case. The unnamed attendant smiles warmly, concluding that the young lord must have simply had an exceptionally good appetite today. The unnamed attendant turns her attention to Lord Cheongang, asking about her own meal, while Lord Cheongang internally gushes about how healing it is to see her favorite character smile. The unnamed attendant presses on, pointing out that Lord Cheongang skipped both breakfast and lunch, asking if she isn't hungry. Lord Cheongang, however, dismisses the concern, stating the attendant's sole duty is to care for the young lord. The unnamed attendant gently chides Lord Cheongang, asserting that one must eat to work effectively, questioning what kind of labor can be performed on an empty stomach. The unnamed attendant extends her hand, offering a wrapped food parcel to Lord Cheongang with a simple instruction to take it. The unnamed attendant explains that she received the parcel from a friend at the Jamiguan, urging Lord Cheongang to accept it. Lord Cheongang politely declines, assuring the unnamed attendant she is fine, but the attendant insists, guaranteeing the delicious taste of the offering. Lord Cheongang internally debates how she could possibly accept something given by the attendant's friend, but the unnamed attendant reassures her with a wink, revealing she has another one for herself. The unnamed attendant urges Lord Cheongang not to refuse any further, noting the awkwardness of holding the food out, and finally pleads for her to accept the feelings of an older sister who simply wants to feed her favorite character something delicious. With a hesitant sigh, Lord Cheongang's hand reaches out, finally accepting the food parcel from the persistent attendant. Lord Cheongang smiles, holding the food parcel, and graciously thanks the attendant, promising to enjoy the meal. Lord Cheongang closes her eyes in serene contentment, a gentle smile gracing her lips as the promise of a good meal settles in. Jik Ijian offers a light-hearted wave, a faint smile playing on his lips as he prepares to depart. As Jik Ijian begins to walk away, he formally announces, "Then, Lord Cheongang, I will be taking my leave now." Lord Cheongang watches him leave, a mischievous grin on her face as she thinks, "I never expected that I'd get to enjoy the thrill of giving an offering to my favorite character in a place like this." Suddenly, Jik Ijian's expression shifts, a subtle frown creasing his brow as he looks upwards, a heavy aura emanating from him. Palpable tension hangs in the air, the proximity of their crossed arms highlighting the sudden shift in atmosphere. Jik Ijian's gaze sharpens, his eyes narrowing with an intense, scrutinizing look as a chilling silence descends. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in surprise, her expression revealing a sudden confusion as she utters a small Her confusion deepens as she internally questions, "Why is he acting like this?" Jik Ijian stands silently, arms crossed, as Lord Cheongang anxiously wonders, "Did I happen to make some sort of mistake in the meantime?" Lord Cheongang stares at Jik Ijian's retreating back, a sense of growing unease gripping her as she tries to understand his abrupt change. A barely perceptible smirk plays on Jik Ijian's lips, followed by a quiet, almost dismissive pht. Lord Cheongang looks down, a wave of disappointment washing over her as she realizes, "I thought the atmosphere had grown somewhat relaxed thanks to the food, but I guess that was nothing more than my own arrogance and delusion." Her expression hardens with renewed resolve as she thinks, "Right, there's no way a guy like Jik Ijian would become docile just from this. From now on." As she stands in the illuminated hallway, Lord Cheongang vows to herself, "I must be even more careful and never let my guard down, not even for a single split second." With renewed caution, Lord Cheongang walks away, her determination evident in every step. That day, her fears of having permanently displeased him proved unfounded. Instead, Jik Ijian's appetite suddenly seemed to surge, and he began ordering all sorts of dishes from Lord Cheongang. The flurry of orders continued, indicating a new, unexpected dynamic between them. Thanks to that, Lord Cheon-gang found herself running in and out of the banquet hall several times a day, exasperatedly wondering, is he trying to make me die from overwork on purpose? And so, the days continued in a whirlwind of activity. The sun shone brightly on the unfolding events. Lord Cheon-gang's patience wore thin, her expression a mix of exhaustion and irritation as a clatter echoed nearby. As Lord Cheon-gang kneels amidst the chaos, two attendants argue loudly, one exclaiming, "Hey, wait, that's mine," while the other retorts, "Let me borrow it. I'm sure it'll look much better on me." Another attendant, smiling broadly, explains the commotion to Lord Cheon-gang. Everyone is saying that the most handsome man in the demonic cult is finally paying attention to the banquet hall, so they're all dolled up and throwing a massive fit. So okay, beaming, praises Lord Cheon-gang for getting along well with the second young lord, noting how many exciting things have happened since she became his maid, and how the other girls now see her in a new light. Lord Cheon-gang internally mutters So-ok's name, clearly taken aback. Leaning in conspiratorially, So-ok asks Lord Cheon-gang if she knows the secret to winning the second young lord's favor, pleading for her to whisper it only to her. With a playful squeeze, Lord Cheon-gang pinches So-ok's cheek, the sound of the pinch echoing through the air. Lord Cheon-gang, exasperated, asks So-ok if that is truly what she should be saying, demanding her touched feelings back. So-ok, undeterred, retorts with a casual "Come on, what are friends for?" Lord Cheon-gang's thoughts race about the secret to winning the second young lord's favor as a crowd of other maids gather around, their eyes sparkling with intense curiosity, eager for any hint. Panicked, Lord Cheon-gang tries to fend off the swarming maids, desperately insisting that she truly knows nothing at all. A bright, clear sky hangs over the traditional buildings as a distant, drawn-out exclamation echoes through the air. A heavy sigh escapes, hanging in the air above the quiet rooftops of the complex. Lord Cheon-gang, wiping her brow in exhaustion, acknowledges Jeek Ijeon's immense popularity, reflecting on how she barely managed to escape after being cornered by the other maids. Lord Cheon-gang gazes downward, her thoughts heavy with the desire to remain quiet and low-key until she could quit, yet the future now appears bleak and uncertain. Lord Cheon-gang clenches her fist, reassuring herself that the fuss is merely among the maids, and the high and mighty would never concern themselves with their trivial matters. Lord Cheon-gang suddenly freezes, an exclamation of surprise escaping her as she faces two other maids who have appeared before her. The maid in the yellow dress clears her throat pointedly, her arms crossed, as Lord Cheon-gang stands with her back to them, sensing the sudden tension. The maid in the yellow dress, her expression stern, informs Lord Cheon-gang that she is in charge of preparing the bathwater today. Lord Cheon-gang's eyes widen in surprise, questioning the bathwater? Lord Cheon-gang internally notes that preparing bathwater was never mentioned in the manual she received from Madame Kwok. One of the maids quickly interjects, insisting that the second young lord himself ordered it. The maid in yellow explains they've always taken turns preparing the bathwater amongst themselves. The maid in purple adds that they had meant to tell Lord Cheon-gang on her first day. The maid finishes, explaining that many things happened back then as a chibi illustration flashes, showing a shoulder throw being executed, leaving a chibi Lord Cheon-gang looking utterly bewildered. Lord Cheon-gang, with a sigh of resignation, simply responds, "All right." Lord Cheon-gang tells the other maids that she will trust them and they can leave now, while internally expressing her shock with a silent exclamation. The sun sets over the grand building. As the other maids bid "see you later" and depart, Lord Cheon-gang watches them go, thinking derisively, "See you later, my foot. Everyone is heading home early except for me." Lord Cheon-gang walks away, her thoughts revealing her longing to clock out as well, feeling the burden of her new task. The scene shimmers with a soft, ethereal glow, surrounded by delicate floral outlines. The maid in the yellow dress smiles slyly, her eyes gleaming with a hint of mischief, bathed in a soft, sparkling light. The bathwater shimmers enticingly, adorned with delicate flower petals, ready for use. Lord Cheon-gang stands beside the large wooden tub, arms crossed, a satisfied expression on her face as she thinks, "I'm glad the temperature is perfect for a half-bath before Jeek Ijeon arrives." Lord Cheon-gang, lost in thought, realizes this is the first time she's attending to Jeek Ijeon entirely by herself since that fateful day. A wave of nervousness washes over her, yet she reassures herself that surely he wouldn't strike her down without provocation. Despite her attempts at calm, a sudden shiver runs down her spine, a lingering unease at the thought of Jeek Ijeon. Suddenly, a flicker of surprise crosses Lord Cheon-gang's face as she peeks from behind a partition. Lord Cheon-gang quickly dashes behind a wooden screen as Jeek Ijeon enters the bathing area. Jeek Ijeon, clad in a flowing purple robe, approaches the steaming wooden tub while Lord Cheon-gang remains hidden behind the screen. Water droplets splash softly as Jeek Ijeon enters the bath, the sound echoing in the quiet room. A loud splash reverberates, causing Lord Cheon-gang to flinch, her hands pressed to her mouth in a mix of surprise and apprehension. Jeek Ijeon's bare shoulder emerges from the water, glistening with moisture as he settles into the warm bath. Jeek Ijeon asks if the new maid is responsible for preparing the bathwater today, and the unnamed attendant quickly confirms, "Ah, yes." The unnamed attendant nervously asks if there's an issue with the bath, as Jeek Ijeon remarks that the water is warmer than usual. The unnamed attendant frets, asking if the water is too hot. Meanwhile, Lord Cheon-gang recalls her past life, where she took daily half-baths and believed she set the perfect temperature. To their surprise, Jeek Ijeon leans back in the tub, stating that he actually prefers the water this way. He contemplates the strangeness of his reaction, noting that he would normally be displeased if something deviated from the usual routine. Jeek Ijeon wonders why this change doesn't bother him, while Lord Cheon-gang, peeking nervously, thinks about how intimidated she feels. In a vivid memory, Lord Cheon-gang shrieks in terror, apologizing profusely for disturbing Jeek Ijeon. He frantically apologizes for accidentally stepping on his shadow, a memory that leads Jeek Ijeon to reflect on her consistent fear whenever she sees him. Lord Cheon-gang, smiling brightly, presents him with bibimbap noodles, describing them as a sweet and tangy delicacy perfect for when one lacks appetite. Her thoughts continue, recalling how she dried his blankets in the sun on a nice day, ensuring he would sleep comfortably. Jeek Ijeon observes her radiant smile, recognizing her attempts to be helpful and kind. Jeek Ijeon falls silent, his expression thoughtful as he ponders Lord Cheon-gang's actions and her consistent efforts. A different man with light brown hair, his expression sly and knowing, appears in Jeek Ijeon's thoughts, adding another layer to his contemplation. Jeek Ijeon's internal monologue continues, questioning if Lord Cheon-gang's kindness is exclusively for him, or if it extends to everyone. Lord Cheon-gang calls out to Jeek Ijeon, asking him to come closer as she has something to ask him. Her feet hesitate, a slight stumble revealing her nervousness as she approaches Jeek Ijeon. Lord Cheon-gang bows slightly, her voice trembling as she asks what Jeek Ijeon, the young lord, requires of her. Her eyes widen in surprise as she processes his request, questioning if he wants her to give someone something. Lord Cheon-gang looks down at Jeek Ijeon in the bath, a bewildered expression on her face as she wonders if he means her. The scene concludes with a soft focus on Lord Cheon-gang's hair. In her bath, Lord Cheon-gang is interrupted by Lady Hua, who, clearly flustered, insists she hasn't given anything to the young lord. Lady Hua clarifies it wasn't for her. Lady Hua, now off-panel, specifies the gift was intended for Lord Cheon-gang, prompting a surprised and confused Lord Cheon-gang to repeat her own name in disbelief. Lady Hua, still unseen, tentatively asks if Lord Cheon-gang is referring to the rice balls. Lord Cheon-gang, in the tub, responds with a stern, questioning, "Rice balls?" Conversation continues with Lady Hua explaining that a servant had given some rice balls to Lord Cheon-gang, noticing she seemed to be skipping her meals. Lord Cheon-gang lets out a contemplative HMH, her expression unreadable as she processes the information. A close-up reveals Lord Cheon-gang's hand gracefully touching her dark, flowing hair, surrounded by a soft, sparkling aura. Lady Hua, looking dejected, realizes aloud that the rice balls were given to Lord Cheon-gang, not to her. Sudden, terrifying realization dawns on Lady Hua, her eye widening in shock as she recognizes a familiar, ominous pattern from the original novel. Lady Hua's thoughts drift to the original story, recalling that whenever the character Jeek Ijeon muttered to himself in such a manner, it always signaled impending danger. The ominous atmosphere persists, highlighted by a close-up on the intricate details of Lady Hua's sleeve against the dark, thorny backdrop. The chilling memory continues. Jeek Ijeon's mutterings were always followed by a ruthless execution. Lady Hua's hand trembles as a terrifying thought begins to form. "Don't tell me I'm..." The horrifying realization solidifies. Lady Hua fears she is about to die so pointlessly, all because of a few rice balls, as a dark, spiky aura surrounds her in despair. Lady Hua looks up, her face etched with distress, as ethereal blue and purple lights swirl around her, emphasizing her desperate situation. Advertisement banner, not narrative content. Lady Hua desperately pleads for her life, bowing low with her hands pressed to the floor, admitting her lack of foresight. Tears stream down Lady Hua's face as she lies prostrate, her expression a mix of fear and desperate pleading. From the wooden tub, Lord Gang calmly questions Lady Hua's plea, "Spare your life?" as water drips softly from the tub's edge. Lord Gang, looking unperturbed and almost amused amidst the floral bath, asks Lady Hua when she ever implied she would kill her. Lord Gang, with a stern chibi expression, observes Lady Hua's excessive terror, musing if rumors have spread that she devours her own maids. A tiny, trembling Lady Hua vehemently denies it. Lady Hua, bowing deeply amidst a shower of sparkling flowers, expresses her remorse for disturbing such a grand individual, but humbly requests a chance to explain herself. Lord Gang responds with a thoughtful hum. Lord Gang remains deep in thought, her expression contemplative as she considers Lady Hua's plea, letting out another soft hum. Water glistens on Lord Gang's bare shoulder, reflecting the sparkling light as she continues to ponder. Sly smirk plays on Lady Hua's lips, a mischievous glint in her eyes as she internally curses, "That bastard." Kneeling gracefully, Lady Hua explains that the rice balls were merely leftovers, commonly eaten by lower servants to stave off hunger, and thus she could never offer such lowly food to a noble personage like Lord Gang. With a knowing smile, Lord Gang offers that if Lady Hua is curious about the taste, she will personally prepare fresh ingredients and bring them as a late-night snack. Lady Hua responds with a surprised, "Oh, really?" Lord Gang, unseen, gives her command, "Then do so." Lady Hua, beaming brightly, readily accepts, stating, "Understood." Lady Hua bows deeply, declaring she will take her leave to prepare the snack for Lord Gang. Lord Gang's profile reveals a subtle, satisfied smirk, accompanied by an internal take, suggesting her plan has worked perfectly. A subtle, satisfied smirk crosses Lord Gang's face, an internal take suggesting her plan has worked perfectly. Internally, she confirms her satisfaction, thinking, "As expected, I really like her." A flicker of annoyance crosses her face as she walks, internally grumbling that if someone wanted a rice ball, they could have just said so. Instead, he acts so confusingly, draining her energy. She muses that the original novel never mentioned him being such a glutton. With her arms crossed, her frustration boils over as she vows to tell Grandma how terrifyingly close to death she lived every single day once she escapes the demonic cult, reminding herself that she saved Grandma's life after all. Suddenly, Lord Gang's eyes widen slightly as she hears a voice call out, "Shroomhua." She turns, an exclamation escaping her lips as she spots a figure standing in a distant doorway. Her long hair flows as she focuses on the unexpected visitor. The figure is revealed to be Senior J, who immediately puts a finger to her lips, shushing Lord Gang's questioning gaze that seems to ask, "Senior J?" Lord Gang internally notes that Senior Ji is a third-year senior she knows only by name, and they aren't even that close. She then asks, "What brings you here, Senior?" To which Senior Ji replies, "What do you mean, what brings me here? I came to congratulate you." Lord Gang's expression remains bewildered as she repeats, "Congratulate me?" Senior Ji clarifies, stating that today marks exactly 1 week since Lord Gang became the second young lord's personal maid. Internally, Senior Ji explains the custom. Whenever one of them successfully settles into her role, they celebrate among themselves. However, Lord Gang internally frets, "But I can't leave my post right now." Before Lord Gang can voice her refusal with, "I appreciate the thought, but," Senior Ji grabs her hand, exclaiming, "Oh goodness, look at you." Senior Ji pulls Lord Gang along, reassuring her, "Do you think we'd drag you away without knowing this? Second young lord always reads his books after his bath, so it's perfectly fine." With a wide, cheerful smile, Senior Ji insists, "So stop worrying and let's go." The surroundings take on an ominous, shadowy hue as Senior Ji's voice echoes, "The others are waiting." Lord Gang's unease grows, her thoughts betraying her. This is strange. She wonders why they are heading somewhere so gloomy for a congratulatory party. They arrive in a dark, rustling forest where Senior Ji stands alongside another woman, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. Senior Ji greets her with a malicious grin. "Didn't I tell you I'd see you later?" Lord Gang's internal thought confirms her suspicions. No wonder her final greeting before we parted felt somewhat ominous. Lord Gang's face hardens, a grim realization dawning upon her. To think she was plotting something like this. Facing the group, Lord Gang's internal fury erupts, questioning, "Has this bitch completely lost her mind?" He confronts her with crackling intensity, demanding, "Hey, when you see a senior who stands as high as the sky, you should bow immediately. Have you lost your damn mind?" Senior Ji then interjects, "Ji, you're scaring Shroomhua. Don't corner her like that." Senior Ji's malicious grin returns as she spouts venomous words, accusing Lord Cheon-gang of acting smug, relying entirely on her pretty face, and being nothing more than a pitiful girl who couldn't even catch the second young lord's attention. Lord Cheon-gang faces her tormentors, internally reflecting on her past worries about inadvertently offending her seniors all this time. Her thoughts clarify that they simply hated the fact that she became Jeek Ijeon's personal maid. Senior Ji's voice cuts through. Even so, listen, there are strict rankings and rules even among us maids. He points an accusing finger at a defiant Lord Cheon-gang, demanding, no matter if you became a personal maid, how could you strike your senior? Lord Cheon-gang's face contorts in silent, seething fury at the false accusation. Hand flashes out, imbued with shimmering energy, as Lord Cheon-gang internally asserts, she was the one who lunged at me first. With swift, decisive action, Lord Cheon-gang delivers a powerful kick, sending Ji reeling backward in utter surprise. But Jae's surprise quickly turns to a retaliatory strike, sending Lord Cheon-gang recoiling in shock, who firmly declares that no matter the circumstances, she will stand her ground. He, with a smug grin, questions how Lord Cheon-gang dared to strike her out of nowhere, mockingly asking if that weak attempt was what she called dodging. Clenching her fist, He's resolve hardens, stating she had intended to end the skirmish with a mere slap, but now, she cannot let this insult pass. A surge of purple energy erupts as Ji vows to deliver a severe beating today. Lord Cheon-gang swiftly maneuvers, her long dark hair trailing behind her as she evades the incoming attack. Still in motion, Lord Cheon-gang realizes the true intent behind Jae's actions, wondering why she was dragged into this confrontation. From a distance, two women cheer, urging Jae on. Lord Cheon-gang internally reflects on Jae's audacity, especially after her previous humiliation. Streaks of shimmering energy cut through the air, highlighting the fierce speed of the ongoing exchange. Lord Cheon-gang expertly evades another strike, prompting Jae to internally wonder why her opponent is so exceptionally skilled at dodging. Meanwhile, Lord Cheon-gang lets out a small yelp, barely avoiding a hit. Her face contorted in rage, declares it a shame that Lord Cheon-gang's evasion will soon end, challenging her to see how long she can keep dodging. A blur of speed and a sharp sound effect signify Jae unleashing another rapid attack. With fierce determination, Lord Cheon-gang blocks the incoming blow, her eyes sharp and focused amidst the flurry of combat. Lord Cheon-gang's fist glows with formidable power as she asserts that Madame Shin Jiam did not raise her to be a pushover. Unleashing a potent kick, Lord Cheon-gang connects squarely, sending Ji soaring backward from the sheer force of the blow. Ease forms streaks across the panel, her hair and garments whipping wildly as she is propelled through the air. As Ji falls unconscious, the surrounding women cry out in alarm, calling her name and referring to her as senior sister. Lord Cheon-gang calmly assesses the situation, stating that while the blow was painful, she merely knocked Jae out, ensuring her life is not in danger. Lord Cheon-gang lets out a surprised huh as a shadowy figure suddenly appears, crouching low in the periphery. Two dark figures close in on Lord Cheon-gang, their intentions unclear as they emerge from the shadows. One of the shadowy figures seizes Lord Cheon-gang from behind, eliciting a pained ugh from her as he demands that others make way. Holding Lord Cheon-gang in a chokehold, the assailant threatens to kill her if his demands are not met, leaving her utterly shocked. Lord Cheon-gang's face is etched with fear and struggle, her eyes wide as she remains trapped in the attacker's unforgiving grip. Lord Cheon-gang's internal monologue reveals her disbelief, questioning the attacker's intelligence and the futility of holding a mere maid like herself hostage, wondering what he hopes to accomplish. The male attacker's face is contorted in a grimace, sweat beading on his brow as the pressure of the situation weighs heavily upon him. The attacker observes his approaching comrades, noting with concern that they are closing the distance as if a subtle, knowing smirk plays on Lord Cheon-gang's lips, a hint of something unexpected brewing beneath her distressed facade. From an aerial view, the attacker, still holding Lord Cheon-gang, suddenly falters, muttering, "Wait a minute." This, as if a crucial realization dawns upon him. The attacker's realization hangs in the air as the scene pulls back, revealing three ethereal figures on a shimmering, moonlit ground, their forms glowing faintly in the distance. Chilling smirk spreads across the attacker's face, his eyes shadowed with dark intent as Lord Cheon-gang's terrified gaze is caught beneath him, reflecting her utter despair. Above them, the night sky stretches, a canvas of deep blues and twinkling stars, as a swift, rushing sound, a schwa, cuts through the serene atmosphere. Amidst her fear, Lord Cheon-gang's desperate plea echoes in her mind, a pounding heartbeat accompanying her silent question, "Granny, what should I do?" Tears stream down Lord Cheongang's face as the attacker's grip tightens on her arm, a fresh wound visible on her shoulder, emphasizing her agonizing predicament. With eyes squeezed shut against the pain, Lord Cheongang's desperate cry rings out, a single, powerful word, "Save me!" Suddenly, a blinding burst of red and white energy erupts through the forest, a swift and cutting force manifesting in response to her desperate plea. The red energy slams into the vicinity of the attacker and Lord Cheongang, creating a powerful shockwave. Lord Cheongang looks up in surprise as the attacker lets out a startled cry, an AK. Splash of blood splatters across the pristine background, a clear indication that the attack has found its mark, accompanied by a pained H. A system notification clarifies the gravity of the situation. That is a high-level martial art that only an ultra-first-class master can perform, so it is not something just anyone can do. Against the backdrop of a colossal, luminous full moon, the powerful Jeek Aijeon makes his grand entrance, his long hair flowing as he utters a decisive Joke dash. A close-up reveals Jeek Aijeon's determined gaze, his presence commanding as another voice exclaims in recognition, "Jeok Igon?" With a solid tack, Jeek Aijeon's foot firmly lands on the grassy ground, signaling his full arrival and commitment to the unfolding conflict. Lord Cheongang's internal thoughts betray her confusion and fear as she notices a new wound and the attacker's unexpected grip. What is this? Why is he suddenly grabbing my chin? The attacker's expression shifts to one of deep contemplation, his eyes shadowed as a silence hangs in the air, a soft sha accompanying his pensive state. Lord Cheongang, now standing beside the attacker, looks up at him with a mix of concern and curiosity, observing his changed demeanor in the moonlit forest. Jeek Aijeon stands tall, a swirling orb of black and red energy manifesting in his outstretched hand, while Lord Cheongang watches in shock and the attacker reacts with a startled. An extreme close-up captures the raw power emanating from Jeek Aijeon's hand, a vortex of red energy swirling with an intense, straining sound as he unleashes his formidable attack. The attacker lies defeated on the ground, enveloped by crackling dark red energy, as Jeek Aijeon stands protectively with Lord Cheongang, leaving a lingering question. Is this going to be the first time? Bathed in a brilliant, serene light, Jeek Aijeon's face is shown in close-up, his eyes closed, conveying a sense of calm resolution after the intense confrontation. Suddenly, a sharp command cuts through the air. Stop! The man with long dark hair stands resolutely, a red orb glowing in his hand, while Lord Cheongang looks on with concern. Two figures immediately drop to their knees, bowing in deep submission, a heavy thud echoing. Lord Cheongang collapses to the ground, her long hair scattering around her as she bows, a sound of impact accompanying her fall. No, Lord Cheongang thinks in despair, realizing the gravity of the situation. He is one of the 10 venerables of Murim. And not just any venerable, but the greatest among them, the number 1 master under heaven, she concludes, still bowing on the ground. A powerful aura radiates as multiple voices echo. We greet the Heavenly Demon. The title card reveals the chapter, The Heavenly Demon's Strongest Maid, Chapter 07. Amidst the tranquil forest, a voice remarks, "It has been a long time," setting a calm yet expectant tone. The man with long dark hair, seen from behind, faces another figure who bows deeply, greeting him as the second young lord. The long-haired man smirks slightly as he observes, "You seem to have grown even more dashing since I last saw you. You must be receiving daily reports about me anyway. Let us skip the useless pleasantries and get straight to the point." He continues, addressing the older man with white hair, Lord of the Ghost Soul Pavilion. The title is confirmed, identifying him as the Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord, a figure of authority. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in realization. That Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord, the head of the Ghost Soul Pavilion and the military strategist of the demonic cult, she thinks, recalling the organization's role in intelligence for the demonic cult. A chibi Lord Cheongang ponders. Oh, maybe it's because only intelligent people can become the Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord, but he definitely seems more like a scholar than a martial artist. Pointing to the bloodied body on the ground, the long-haired man demands, "Who is this man?" The older man with white hair calmly replies, "Who is he, to have been chased like that? He is a spy affiliated with the Murim Alliance." He continues, explaining the spy's history. He used a forged identity to operate within the Blood Shadow Squad for the past 5 years, until he was finally caught a few days ago, while I was contemplating how to turn him into a double agent. The long-haired man remarks, "I heard that the Ghost Soul Pavilion conducts thorough background checks before induction." The older man bows slightly, admitting, "It was an oversight on my part as the Pavilion Lord." The older man then presses, more importantly, what brings the second young lord out at this hour, especially when you went as far as to personally eliminate the target. The long-haired man replies, I only stepped in because my maid looked like she was in danger. The older man asks, who did you say looked like they were in danger? The long-haired man points to Shroomhua, declaring, my maid right here. The long-haired man explains further, when I arrived after hearing the noise, she was being held hostage by that man. Meanwhile, a chibi Lord Cheon-gang looks utterly bewildered, surrounded by question marks. Lord Cheon-gang thinks in disbelief, is there something wrong with my ears? Jik Ijun came out here to save me? The older man's voice booms, do you mean to tell me that you acted on behalf of this child? Lord Cheon-gang flinches, still bowing on the ground. Lord Cheon-gang desperately wishes, please don't talk to me, please don't talk to me, her internal panic evident. The older man simply hums, a knowing look on his face, observing the unfolding drama. The older man commands, stand up and look me in the eye. Lord Cheon-gang internally curses, damn it, why are my bad feelings always right? But outwardly replies, yes. Reluctantly, Lord Cheon-gang begins to push herself up from the ground, her hands pressing against the earth. A soft, shimmering aura surrounds Lord Cheon-gang as she slowly rises, accompanied by a gentle, sparkling sound effect. Lord Cheon-gang stands tall, her eyes reflecting a mix of apprehension and quiet resolve amidst the ethereal glow. The older man gazes at her, his expression unreadable, a hint of something deeper in his eyes as he takes in her presence. His intense gaze makes Lord Cheon-gang's mind reel, a sudden forming in her thoughts as she tries to decipher his scrutiny. A young woman, Shroomhua, bows slightly, introducing herself with a flustered expression, stating, this lowly one is Shroomhua. The older man, with his long white hair, observes the scene, a subtle, knowing smirk playing on his lips. An attendant questions the older man, asking if he recognizes the child. The older man dismisses it, replying, no, she simply reminded me of someone for a moment. The young lord, standing beside Lord Cheon-gang, gives a direct command, let us clean this up and head back. Lord Cheon-gang looks thoughtful, a pensive expression on her face as she considers the recent events. She looks up at the young lord, a silent thought of gratitude crossing her mind before she says, thank you so much for today. A hand gently brushes against Lord Cheon-gang's hair, revealing a small, faint mark on her neck. Young lord gazes at Lord Cheon-gang, admitting, so it is difficult to say that I kept you entirely safe. Lord Cheon-gang smiles up at him, affirming, still, it's a fact that I'm safe because of you, young lord, while privately expressing gratitude for his intervention. The young lord falls silent, a contemplative expression settling on his face as he considers her words. Lord Cheon-gang reacts with a startled expression as the young lord issues a cold command, move him carefully. As long as there is information left to extract from him, he must not die just yet. Lord Cheon-gang walks away, observing the Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord diligently working alone, thinking, working hard all by himself. A close-up reveals the stern profile of the Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord, focused on his task. Lord Cheon-gang lets out a small, surprised, oh, as she looks at him. Lord Cheon-gang silently ponders, today should definitely be my first time seeing him, as she watches the Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord. Ghost Soul Pavilion Lord turns slightly, a faint smile on his face as he looks back. Lord Cheon-gang floats in sparkling water, reflecting on the previous night's ordeal, thinking, last night was an absolute nightmare. Her memories flash in chibi form, first being called out and almost beaten to death by her senior, then grabbed, as she recounts, first, I get called out by my senior and almost beaten to death. Lord Cheon-gang continues her internal monologue. Demon himself takes an interest in me and starts questioning me. I went through a lifetime's worth of chaos just yesterday, as she walks thoughtfully. Standing beside the older man, Lord Cheon-gang smiles, concluding her thoughts with a hopeful, so surely nothing will happen today. Hopeful thought of Lord Cheon-gang is immediately shattered as a piercing question echoes from off-panel. How old are you? Her eyes widen in a mix of surprise and apprehension. A sharp, almost stifled sound escapes, emphasizing the sudden tension in the air, though no specific character is visible. The serene blue sky is pierced by a resounding cry as birds scatter amidst the lush green trees, signaling an abrupt shift in the day's tranquility. Lord Cheon-gang lies sprawled on the ground as Shroom stands imposingly over her, demanding she greet the heavenly demon. The order rings with undeniable authority. A look of distress crosses Lord Cheon-gang's face as she tentatively questions, "Be but, my lord," only for Shroom's stern voice to cut her off, reminding her, "It is an order." Shin Wonpyeong turns to Lord Cheongang, confirming, "You said your name was Shroomhua, correct?" Internally, Lord Cheongang acknowledges the unyielding nature of the command, before respectfully replying, "Yes, that is correct, my lord." Shin Wonpyeong's questioning continues relentlessly, demanding to know her age, residence, and parents. Lord Cheongang can only react with a stunned expression, overwhelmed by the sudden barrage of personal inquiries. As Shin Wonpyeong listens intently, Lord Cheongang reveals her poignant past. "My parents are no longer with us, and my grandmother runs a noodle shop outside the castle walls. I have lived at that shop ever since I was a child." Lord Cheongang continues her somber account, explaining that "My father died in an accident before I was even born, and my mother passed away during childbirth because she could not overcome the labor pains. That is what I was told." Lord Cheongang concludes, stating, "As such, I have never met either of them." Shin Wonpyeong's eyes gleam with a sudden intensity as he murmurs, "Your deceased mother." Shin Wonpyeong stands tall, his long white hair flowing around him, and with a grave expression, he utters his own name, Shin Wonpyeong. Lord Cheongang processes Shin Wonpyeong's revelation, thinking, as expected, it is not him. Confused, she then voices her bewilderment, asking, "What do you mean it's not him?" A tense silence hangs between Lord Cheongang and Shin Wonpyeong as they face each other, their expressions grave with unspoken thoughts. Shin Wonpyeong extends his hand, offering Lord Cheongang a small, ornate pouch, instructing her, "Take this." She responds with a hesitant, yes." Lord Cheongang's eyes sparkle with a mix of curiosity and wonder as she examines the unexpected gift. The intricate details of a beautiful, flower-adorned hair ornament are revealed as Lord Cheongang begins to identify it. This is a hair. Holding the exquisite hair ornament, Lord Cheongang's mind races, questioning, "Why is he giving me something like this out of nowhere?" Shin Wonpyeong gazes with a soft, wistful expression, his thoughts distant, while Lord Cheongang remains lost in contemplation, her back partially turned. Shin Wonpyeong's face softens further, revealing a profound and deep yearning in his eyes. With a quiet sincerity, Shin Wonpyeong utters a simple, heartfelt thank you. The heavenly demon's gaze had fallen upon Lord Cheongang, yet his eyes seemed to see someone else, reminiscing about them with profound affection. Lord Cheongang stood, a small ornament in her hand, pondering who could possibly evoke such deep emotion from the formidable figure. She wondered what kind of person could possibly plunge the absolute ruler of the demonic cult into such unexpected sentimentality. After an extended period of intense staring, the moment of reflection concluded. The heavenly demon vanished like the wind, leaving Lord Cheongang bewildered by his parting words. "Go about your business then. I shall visit from time to time." She could only stammer, "Pardon?" Overwhelmed by the morning's events, a chibified Lord Cheongang clutched her head, feeling her heart might burst from the sheer stress. The serene morning light illuminates the traditional rooftops and ancient trees, offering a momentary calm. Wide view reveals the grandeur of the traditional architecture, with sturdy walls and ornate gates defining the landscape. Suddenly, Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in absolute shock, her mouth agape as a loud thump echoes. A furious Madame Kwok appears, radiating an intense red aura, prompting a surprised grandmother from Lord Cheongang. Powerful thud sound effect punctuates the air, emphasizing the force of Madame Kwok's arrival. Madame Kwok embraces Lord Cheongang with overwhelming force, exclaiming, "Let me see! I heard you got cut by a sword." As Lord Cheongang struggles to ask, "Grandmother, what brings you?" Madame Kwok pinches Lord Cheongang's cheeks, seething, "What a complete bastard! To leave a scratch on my precious granddaughter's body. Tearing him to pieces wouldn't even be enough." Lord Cheongang can only utter a bewildered, "Huh." Lord Cheongang's thoughts race, asking, "Grandmother, how did you find out I was hurt? Who told you?" Madame Kwok reveals the informant. "Who else? That punk who constantly frequents the noodle shop." Lord Cheongang reacts with disbelief. "No way." Lord Cheongang realizes, "Yang Sobek, remembering that he told me not to look for him for a while because he was focusing on his training." Lord Cheongang, still surprised, wonders, "Did he swing by already?" Madame Kwok, with a gentle touch, inquires, "Where did he make it into?" Madame Kwok answers her own question. Where else could it be? The boy's dream was always to join the Blood Shadow Squad. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen, her hand flying to her mouth in utter shock. "Unbelievable!" Lord Cheongang internally muses, "I can't believe that slacker actually passed the Blood Shadow Squad exam. I should go say hello sometime soon. Since I started working at the main castle first, I guess that makes me the senior." Madame Kwok continues, "Anyway, Seol Ha, my heart was thumping out of my chest when I heard you were hurt. Madame Kwa concludes, but now that I've seen you completely fine with my own eyes, this granny is going back to run the shop. Lord Cheongang closes her eyes and smiles warmly, sparkling with gratitude for her grandmother's concern. Madame Kwok returns a gentle, contented smile surrounded by delicate white flowers. Bracing Lord Cheongang, Madame Kwok advises, this granny doesn't expect you to treat her to luxury or anything, so once you're out, just stay right by my side. Understood? Lord Cheongang replies, I understand, grandmother. Thank you so much for coming today. As Madame Kwok waves goodbye down the bustling street, Lord Cheongang internally praises, there really is no one quite like our Madame Shinjiam. Lord Cheongang waves back, a soft smile on her face, reflecting that seeing her somewhere other than home makes me feel strangely even more affectionate toward her. Suddenly, Lord Cheongang's hand halts in midair, a realization dawning upon her. A new thought strikes Lord Cheongang with force. At the noodle shop, a close-up reveals the contemplative face of the man in the woven hat as Lord Cheongang finally connects the dots, realizing, no wonder he looked so familiar. Lord Cheongang, visibly flustered, internally berates herself for completely forgetting about this significant detail until now. Her mind replays a memory, noting how the aura between the man and Madame Kwok felt incredibly close back then. A new resolve takes hold within Lord Cheongang. She decides she must confront Madame Kwok herself during her next vacation. This lingering uncertainty, she realizes, is slowly driving her crazy, necessitating immediate action. With renewed vigor, Lord Cheongang resolves to finish her work swiftly and request time off from Madame Kwok. As Lord Cheongang rushes forward, she suddenly encounters a tall, imposing man with long dark hair standing amidst the elegant garden. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in pure shock, her entire demeanor conveying utter surprise at the sudden encounter. The man turns slightly, his voice cutting through her surprise as he asks, "Are you just returning now?" Her heart pounds violently as a flurry of questions races through Lord Cheongang's mind. What on earth is going on? Why is he here? She feels her heart might not last the day. The man's voice resonates with a calm authority, stating he has been waiting for her, as there is something he needs to ask. He looks down at Lord Cheongang, his gaze piercing as he directly questions her. From whom did you learn martial arts? Lord Cheongang's eyes widen further in confusion, her voice trailing off as she asks, what do you mean by... A nervous, uncertain smile plays on Lord Cheongang's lips as she processes the man's strange inquiry. Lord Cheongang quickly refutes his claim, asserting, martial arts? How could someone of my lowly status have ever learned martial arts? I have never trained in martial arts. The man's smirk widens as he retorts, is that so? You truly know absolutely nothing of martial arts? Suddenly, the man's hand shoots out, firmly grasping Lord Cheongang's, eliciting a silent cry of shock from her. The swift, powerful motion, the man pulls Lord Cheongang into a tight embrace, her body arching back as he utters, then, Lord Cheongang's eyes, wide with a mix of surprise and bewilderment, stare up, reflecting the dazzling light around them. Still holding her close, the man's gaze locks onto Lord Cheongang's as he continues, what is the meaning of? Shimmering aura surrounds their forms as the man finishes his question, this staggering energy? The man holds Lord Cheongang firmly, his gaze intense as he reiterates, then, Lord Cheongang's expression is a mix of fear and utter confusion, a bead of sweat tracing her temple as she tries to comprehend the situation. Barely able to articulate her bewilderment, Lord Cheongang manages a soft, questioning, pardon? Lord Cheongang, still perplexed, echoes his words, energy, Lord. The man, his hands now subtly gesturing, challenges her, are you truly ignorant of your own body's condition? Lord Cheongang, shaking her head, admits, I have no clue what you are talking about, young lord. The man's expression hardens slightly as he declares, then I have no choice. The man's declaration hits Lord Cheongang like a thunderbolt. Starting tomorrow, you will train with me for 4 hours every day. Her chibi form conveys utter dismay. Man justifies his decision, warning, what if an accident like last time happens again? You need to know how to defend yourself. I cannot guarantee that I will be there to save you every time. Continuing his stern instruction, Jik Ijian declares his intention to personally train Lord Cheongang, ensuring she can fully control her energy. Lord Cheongang, in visible shock, questions who would ever personally train a mere maid like herself. With a confident, almost arrogant gaze, Jik Ijian retorts, asking who else but him would undertake such a task. The words echo, emphasizing Jik Ijian's conviction that he is the only one capable of providing the necessary training. Vibrant title card appears, adorned with delicate floral patterns, announcing Chapter 09. Days later, Lord Cheongang's hands are wrapped in bandages, her internal thoughts betraying her exasperation with the rigorous training. Lord Cheongang struggles to maintain a deep horse stance, her face contorted in effort as Jeek Ijeon watches with an unreadable expression. Jeek Ijeon's precise instructions cut through the air, urging Lord Cheongang to deepen her stance and root her feet for stability. Jeek Ijeon advises her to imagine planting roots into the ground, but Lord Cheongang's internal monologue erupts in disbelief, questioning the bizarre analogy. Lord Cheongang internally laments, recalling her initial dismissal of Jeek Ijeon's training threats as mere bluffing. She remembers the moment she was called to the training grounds, still incredulous that Jeek Ijeon had followed through on his word. Lord Cheongang's thoughts drift to the Murim Alliance spy incident that led to this predicament, wondering if Jeek Ijeon is merely strengthening her to be a more resilient pawn. Jeek Ijeon remains silent, observing. A male attendant approaches Jeek Ijeon, respectfully suggesting they conclude the training for the day. The attendant expresses his concern for Lord Cheongang, explaining that her recent ordeal makes him fear she might overexert herself and fall ill. Jeek Ijeon listens with a subtle smile. Jeek Ijeon's expression shifts slightly as he questions the attendant's worry about Lord Cheongang falling ill. Turning his attention to Lord Cheongang, Jeek Ijeon states that since the topic was raised, he has a question for her. Lord Cheongang, still in her stance, respectfully assents. Jeek Ijeon challenges the attendant, asking how long an ordinary woman could possibly maintain a horse stance, leaving the attendant visibly flustered. The attendant stammers, estimating that most ordinary women would endure a horse stance for 15 minutes at most. Jeek Ijeon reveals the truth. Lord Cheongang has been holding her stance for over half an hour, far surpassing any ordinary person's limit. Lord Cheongang has a sudden realization, understanding Jeek Ijeon's true motive for making her endure the horse stance from the very beginning. She concludes that he simply wanted to elicit a specific answer or reaction from her. A subtle shimmer of energy radiates around Lord Cheongang, hinting at her hidden potential. Jeek Ijeon challenges Lord Cheongang, asking if she will still deny having learned martial arts, to which she hesitantly begins to reply. In a small, almost whispered thought, Lord Cheongang admits that she did, in fact, learn a very tiny bit of martial arts. Chibified Jeek Ijeon reacts with skepticism to her claim of a tiny bit, while Lord Cheongang internally insists on the truth of her statement. Lord Cheongang's thoughts reveal her self-deprecating belief that her skills are too pathetic to even count, a sentiment Jeek Ijeon dismisses with a knowing glance. Jeek Ijeon reveals the astonishing truth. The energy within Lord Cheongang's body is far from pathetic, catching her completely by surprise. A soft, radiant glow emanates from Lord Cheongang, symbolizing the powerful internal energy Jeek Ijeon just mentioned. Jeek Ijeon elaborates, stating that the energy flowing through her micromeridians is equivalent to 60 years of accumulated internal energy, leaving Lord Cheongang utterly stunned. Jeek Ijeon warns her that while he doesn't understand why her immense energy is dispersed throughout her body instead of concentrated in her dantian, its current state could lead to disaster. Lord Cheongang grapples with the revelation of 60 years of internal energy. Her mind races, questioning if this means she possesses an entire cycle of internal energy within her, a power beyond her comprehension. As her mind races with the profound realization of her internal energy, a gentle touch is applied to her bandaged hand, a careful examination beginning. The instructor questions Lord Cheongang, asking if she recently consumed a rare elixir. Lord Cheongang, looking surprised, quickly replies that elixirs are far too expensive for her to acquire. Lord Cheongang's thoughts trail off in disbelief. The instructor smirks, finding it highly amusing that someone could consume an elixir without even realizing it. The instructor then commands Lord Cheongang to sit cross-legged. She looks up, bewildered by the sudden and unexpected instruction. As Lord Cheongang sits, the instructor declares he will open the path and expects her to follow his lead. He then tells the male in green, "I will leave the protection to you, Cheongang." Lord Cheongang wonders what following his lead truly means. Lord Cheongang flinches as the instructor places his hand firmly on her back. He reminds her that despite his assistance, she is the one who must ultimately execute this critical process. The instructor continues, explaining that from this moment, she must draw the energy spread across her micromeridians into her dantian and make it entirely her own. With a focused gaze, Lord Cheongang listens intently as the instructor declares his intention to open her Baihui acupoint. Lord Cheon-gang questions if this process is about unblocking the conception and governing vessels. The instructor clarifies that their actions will go beyond those vessels, aiming to open the 8 extraordinary meridians. He further explains that since she did not open them herself, this should be considered just the beginning of her profound journey. The instructor reveals that with diligent study and communion with the energy of heaven and earth, Lord Cheon-gang might even achieve true metamorphosis, her ethereal form glowing with potential. Lord Cheon-gang blushes, her mind reeling from the instructor's words, questioning if such an incredible feat is truly possible. As she floats in a serene, ethereal space, Lord Cheon-gang reflects on her admiration for the Murim masters from web novels, overwhelmed by the possibility of becoming one herself. The vibrant energies swirl around her, a visual manifestation of the profound changes beginning within her essence. The instructor's eyes narrow with intense focus as he commands Lord Cheon-gang to concentrate solely on the burgeoning energy within. Red energy crackles ominously around the instructor's hand as he announces the immediate commencement of the crucial process. Lord Cheon-gang sits in deep meditation, her eyes closed, as a faint red aura now surrounds her, signaling the beginning of her transformation. Within her mind, Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal form glows golden, navigating a cosmic path as an internal voice declares, "This is the path." The journey begins, focusing on the Changchang acupoint, identified as the very first point on this profound internal path. System highlights the Changchang acupoint, the first point of the governing vessel. Lord Cheon-gang steels her resolve, knowing she must break through this initial barrier. With a powerful surge, Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal form pushes through a brilliant burst of blue energy, struggling to overcome the formidable resistance. Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal form floats, a look of surprised relief on her face as she realizes the initial breakthrough wasn't as difficult as she had feared. Feeling a surge of accomplishment, Lord Cheon-gang exclaims, "Good," and resolves to maintain this momentum all the way to the end. Following the successful breakthrough of the Changchang, the energy now flows rapidly towards the Yaoshu acupoint. The torrent of energy continues its relentless advance, next targeting the Yangguan and then the Mingmen acupoint. Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal form gazes intently at the shadowy, powerful figure of her instructor, anticipating the next critical stage. Instructor's hand glows with an ominous, surging red energy, ready to unleash its formidable power. The shadowy instructor, enveloped in a crimson aura, reaches out to grasp Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal hand, initiating a deeper, more intense connection. Lord Cheon-gang's face contorts in agony, streaks of light indicating the immense pain she endures as the energy surges through her. Clutching her chest, Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal form trembles, describing the excruciating sensation as if countless bugs are crawling and writhing within her body. The intense pain continues to rack Lord Cheon-gang's ethereal form, a searing headache making it impossible for her to concentrate amidst the agony. An urgent, demanding voice echoes within her mind, commanding her to pull herself together and fight through the torment. Her resolve hardens, a clenched fist reflecting her inner battle. The voice presses, challenging her. Does she truly wish to remain crippled by this suffering? Lying amidst the swirling red energy, Lord Cheon-gang grapples with the immense pain, reminding herself that this is a miraculous, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity she cannot squander foolishly. She steels her will, vowing to endure the excruciating process, knowing that losing consciousness now would have dire consequences. The thought solidifies in her mind. To succumb would mean immediate chi deviation, a catastrophic blow to her cultivation and very being. Suddenly, the overwhelming agony begins to recede. Lord Cheon-gang's eyes snap wide open, sweat beading on her face as she gazes upwards into a blinding, ethereal light. A soft, radiant glow emanates from Lord Cheon-gang's physical body, spreading warmth and a sense of profound calm through her very core. A single tear escapes Lord Cheon-gang's eye, a soft escaping her lips as the intense sensation of pain transforms into a profound, shimmering relief. The crushing headache vanishes in an instant, replaced by a refreshing coolness that spreads through her entire body, washing away all lingering discomfort. Her consciousness flickers, a drop of moisture tracing her chin as the world around her blurs into a hazy, dreamlike state. As her senses fade, Lady Hua's last lingering memory is of being caught by a strong, protective figure, the world swirling around her. Memory expands, showing the child, Lady Hua, being cradled protectively by the man, while another figure observes from a distance. A vibrant title card flashes, marking the 10th chapter of The Strongest Maid of the Demonic Cult. The scene shifts dramatically, revealing a breathtaking aerial view of a magnificent, sprawling complex, its grand halls and courtyards bustling with life under a clear sky. Lord Cheon-gang stirs in a traditional bed, the comforting scent of sun-dried blankets filling her senses as she slowly begins to awaken. Her hand clutches the soft fabric, a curious thought forming. Why do these blankets feel so exceptionally comfortable and pleasant today? With eyes still heavy, Lord Cheon-gang resists the urge to rise, her inner voice lamenting that she doesn't want to get up from this cozy embrace. Suddenly, Lord Cheon-gang's eyes snap wide open, a jolt of realization piercing through her grogginess. She bolts upright in bed, her body still tangled in the blankets, a silent exclamation mark hanging in the air as she surveys her unfamiliar surroundings with confusion. Touching her head in bewilderment, Lord Cheon-gang wonders where she could possibly be, recalling her last memory of meditating with Jik Ijeon and simply passing out. Her wide, confused eyes reflect the depth of her disorientation, a faint sheen of sweat suggesting the lingering shock of her sudden awakening. Lord Cheon-gang sits on the edge of the bed, her back to the viewer, taking in the intricate traditional architecture of the room she has inexplicably woken up in. A sudden voice calls out from beyond the room, instructing her to come out if she's awake, startling Lord Cheon-gang into a state of surprise. Lord Cheon-gang stands, her eyes wide with a new wave of realization, a thought bubble forming as she begins to question how she could possibly be here, of all places. She gasps as the realization hits. She's woken up in Jik Ijeon's room, where the man calmly sips tea as she processes the astonishing turn of events. Still reeling from the shock of her surroundings, Lord Cheon-gang collapses to the floor, her voice trembling as she declares that she has committed a sin worthy of death, addressing the young lord with desperate urgency. Man, however, remains utterly unfazed. He takes a slow sip of his tea, coolly stating that he has no idea why Lord Cheon-gang is begging for her life once more. He then directly challenges her, asking if she's still so terrified of him. Internally, Lord Cheon-gang's thoughts race, wondering how she couldn't be scared, knowing his true character. Lord Cheon-gang nervously tries to explain, insisting that among the maids, everyone speaks highly of his character, with rumors of his excellence spread far and wide. He simply responds, "Is that so?" Man then questions her further, asking why she acts so strangely despite the supposed good rumors, as he calmly sets down his teacup. Lord Cheon-gang, caught off guard, can only stammer pardon as the man's words sink in. The man continues, observing that she cannot even meet his eyes properly and always seems to be thinking of a way to escape him. He expresses his inability to understand her behavior. He dismisses any trivial excuses, asserting that there's clearly a reason for her avoidance. Lord Cheon-gang, in a chibi thought bubble, insists she is merely trying her best to serve him as his personal maid. The forced, sweet smile, Lord Cheon-gang pleads with him to forget about what happened today, hoping to smooth over the awkward situation. The man, looking away, muses that he has no idea what he was thinking, sleeping in a place like this, before revealing that he was the one who brought her here. Lord Cheon-gang looks up, eyes wide with surprise, asking what he means by his statement. A flashback reveals the man carrying Lord Cheon-gang in his arms. She gasps in realization, asking if he personally carried her all the way there. Lord Cheon-gang, in shock, lets out a surprised sound, while the man, in a chibi thought bubble, calmly asks if there's a problem with that. Lord Cheon-gang's internal thoughts swirl, questioning why he is acting this way towards her, surrounded by sparkling effects. Her face shows a mixture of confusion and slight embarrassment, her eyes wide as she processes the man's unexpected actions. The man looks on with a mysterious gaze, as the narration emphasizes that this is a major incident that would shock anyone who read the novel. The man then asks Lord Cheon-gang if they should try unblocking her energy pathways now, a crucial step in her cultivation. Lord Cheon-gang, still flustered, hesitantly asks if they should do it right now, addressing him as young lord. The man, with a slight smirk, questions if she doesn't intend to check the results of yesterday's success. Lord Cheon-gang lets out a surprised "oh" as she understands. Lord Cheon-gang sits in meditation, her eyes closed, as a soft, radiant light emanates from her, signifying the activation of her internal energy. A powerful surge of light and energy bursts around Lord Cheon-gang as she meditates, with the sound effect "who" indicating the intensity of the unblocking process. Lord Cheon-gang's eyes snap open, filled with wonder and a hint of shock, as her energy pathways are successfully unblocked, a truly astonishing development. The man, arms crossed, asks Lord Cheon-gang how it feels to become a master with 60 years' worth of internal energy, his expression one of calm satisfaction. She simply lets out a surprised exclamation mark. Lord Cheon-gang beams with joy and gratitude, declaring that she has received an incredible stroke of fortune and has no idea how she can ever repay his kindness. Her cheerful expression quickly turns to one of surprise and confusion as she processes his next words, asking, "More training?" Dark-haired man, proposing a rigorous regimen, explains that Lord Cheongang's martial arts skills are remarkably low compared to her internal energy. He insists that without proper training, she will only be physically strong, not truly skilled. He continues, declaring that from now on, Lord Cheongang's sole focus will be on her meals, and the rest of her time must be dedicated entirely to training. He even mentions having already ordered more maids for Jeongang Pavilion, so she won't have to worry about chores. Lord Cheongang's mind reels, questioning what on earth he's trying to turn her into with such intense oversight. A sudden, alarming thought strikes her. Could he be trying to make her his personal bodyguard? A soft tapping sound echoes from beyond a traditional wooden screen, followed by a voice politely calling out, "Young Lord." Lord Cheongang looks up, startled, as the unnamed attendant announces, "The first young lord has arrived outside." The camera pans down to the feet of Lord Cheongang and her companion, capturing a moment of silent realization as the announcement sinks in. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen slightly in surprise as she instructs, "Bring him inside." She then softly murmurs, processing the name, "The first young lord, Jeek Wibik." The soft step is heard. Lord Cheongang's internal monologue reveals her suspicion. What kind of scheme is that bastard planning that brought him all the way here? A bright, ornate archway adorned with glowing stars and delicate floral patterns signals a shift in the atmosphere, preparing for a grand entrance. A vibrant, red-haired man with a dazzling smile steps into view, radiating an almost ethereal glow, prompting Lord Cheongang to exclaim, "My beloved younger brother." Lord Cheongang stands stiffly as Jeek Wibuk, her red-haired brother, greets the dark-haired man from earlier. She then formally addresses Jeek Wibuk, stating, "You have arrived, brother." Jeek Wibuk's voice fills the air, asking politely, "Have you been well during this time?" With a hint of playful accusation, Jeek Wibuk continues, "Since you never come to visit me, I had no choice but to come to you myself." Jeek Wibuk glances sideways, a questioning HM escaping his lips, as if prompting a reaction or noticing something amiss. He points a finger directly at Lord Cheongang, a wide grin spreading across his face as he exclaims, well, look who it is." Jeek Wibuk leans back, a mischievous smile playing on his lips, remarking, "I never knew my little brother had a side like this." His gaze sharpens, a sly glint in his eye as he continues to tease, "I wondered why you were staying so quiet all this time." Lord Cheongang looks visibly uncomfortable, arms crossed, as Jeek Wibuk finishes his thought. "But it turns out your tastes run toward this sort of thing?" Jeek Wibuk sips his tea, a smug escaping his lips, while Lord Cheongang internally fumes, wondering, what does he think he's doing all of a sudden? The dark-haired man, looking exasperated, finally interjects, asking Jeek Wibuk, "Brother, what exactly have you been talking about this whole time?" Jeek Wibuk maintains his teasing smile, replying, "Why? Are you getting shy now? There is no need to act coy in front of me." With a suggestive lick of his lips, Jeek Wibuk makes a bold statement. If a man finds a woman he likes, it is only natural for him to take her. Jeek Wibuk turns his attention to the dark-haired man, commenting on Lord Cheongang, "The more I look at her, the more charming she is. She will become quite the beauty in a few years." He then directly challenges the dark-haired man, asking, "What do you say?" Lord Cheongang's face contorts in disgust and fury as Jeek Wibuk's audacious proposition echoes in her mind. "How about entering my bedroom tonight?" Her internal thought screams, "You disgusting piece of trash." As a foot steps down, Lord Cheongang's inner thoughts reveal her desire to punch Jeek Wibuk, though she cannot talk back. The dark-haired man then addresses Jeek Wibuk, stating, "Your words are as foul as always, brother." Dark-haired man firmly tells Jeek Wibuk, "Please maintain your dignity while inside my quarters." Jeek Wibuk looks intently at the dark-haired man, a silent tension hanging between the two brothers. Jeek Wibuk's expression shifts to one of surprise and annoyance as he retorts, "What?" A flurry of motion and crashing sounds fills the panel, suggesting an immediate violent reaction as Jeek Wibuk yells, "You little bastard!" Jeek Wibuk furiously grips Jeek Ijeon, demanding how he dares to speak so disrespectfully to his older brother who made the effort to visit. Jeek Wibuk lets out a mocking ha, his smirk twisting with a sinister intent. Jeek Ijeon, however, remains utterly unfazed, his gaze distant and expression devoid of emotion. Jeek Wibuk's voice booms, declaring his absolute intent to take the maid with him today. Lord Cheongang stands apprehensively, a faint glow surrounding her. Jeek Ijeon's lips part, calmly beginning, "In that case, request a duel." Jeek Ijeon's voice finishes, "and try to take her by force." Jeek Wibuk halts abruptly, a sudden realization dawning on him as Jeek Ijeon turns, seemingly unconcerned. Jeek Ijeon turns fully, a chilling smile gracing his lips as he challenges Jeek Wibuk if you actually have the guts to do so. A dark, crackling energy emanates from him. Jeek Wibuk's face contorts in a grimace, sweat beading on his brow as he struggles under the weight of Jeek Ijeon's challenge. You! Jeek Wibuk stammers, barely able to form words as Jeek Ijeon gazes down, his expression unreadable. A sharp impact reverberates through the air, followed by Jeek Wibuk's pained grunt, ugh. Jeek Ijeon walks away, dismissing Jeek Wibuk on the ground as an uneducated scoundrel. Lord Cheongang observes from a distance. Lord Cheongang lets out a soft phew of relief watching Jeek Ijeon's retreating back. Lord Cheongang smiles, acknowledging that she ended up getting help from Jeek Ijeon again. Furious purple aura flares around Jeek Ijeon as he growls, "How dare you?" His voice laced with venom, "Lay his eyes on what's mine?" Jeek Ijeon's gaze sharpens, his aura intensifying into a vibrant display of purple and blue energy, radiating raw power. Lord Cheongang's thoughts race, wondering, me, any? Don't tell me he's referring to me right now? This isn't going to work, Lord Cheongang thinks, her expression turning anxious as she watches Jeek Ijeon. Lord Cheongang stammers, "Why, young lord?" her eyes wide with surprise. Jeek Ijeon's stern gaze meets hers, declaring, "But we will begin today, right now. I will head to the training ground first," Jeek Ijeon instructs, "so change your clothes and follow me immediately." Lord Cheongang stares, utterly dumbfounded. A single tear seems to well in Lord Cheongang's eye, her expression a mix of shock and dismay. Meanwhile, Cheongang, a figure in a green robe, had been silently listening to the entire exchange from outside. The scene transitions to a bright, clear sky the next day, signaling a new beginning. Shroomhua, what on earth happened? Well, you see. If Jeek Wibuk already knew, the rumors must have spread everywhere. Did the second young lord truly choose you to be his woman? I mean, how did this happen? Of course, you are beautiful and good at your job, but still, and no, that isn't what happened. Why would the second young lord want anything and do that with a maid like me? It's all a misunderstanding. Really? First of all, it is true that I spent the whole night at Jianyang Pavilion. See, you really did sleep at Jianyang Pavilion. I just said I spent the night there. I didn't say I slept there. Isn't that the same thing? Then why were you there all night? I don't know if I should say this. Actually, the second young lord was feeling unwell. What? The second young lord was sick? He always uses a gentle tone to tell me I did a good job. That sounds like him. This image is from the maid's imagination. You worked hard as well. But this time, he didn't say anything. So I thought it was strange and looked inside, and oh my, his body was burning up with a fever. Great heavens. It seemed like he suddenly fell ill. Oh dear, we didn't know anything about that. So I brought the physician over and assisted him all night long, and by the time I snapped out of it, it was already morning. Surely they won't go to the physician's office to check if it's true. Physician's office, a kind of health center in the pavilion. Fortunately, he completely recovered in just one day, so do not worry. Everything you just said. There isn't a single lie in it, right? To completely dispel everyone's suspicion. Fine. In times like this, I need a definitive finishing blow. Please believe me, I don't have even a tiny bit of ulterior motives toward the second young lord. Besides, I already like someone else. What, really? Yes, I heard he even passed the Blood Shadow Squad recruitment this time, so I'll introduce him to you when there's an opportunity later. Oh my, how exciting. I'm sorry for dragging you into my lie, Yang Sobek. I'll help you out next time, so let this slide just this once. Friends are supposed to help each other in times of need. I thought everything was completely settled with that, but... Shroomhua, I heard you have a lover? You two must be in the honeymoon phase. Shroomhua, is it true you're quitting your maid job because of your wedding? When is the wedding date? He must be a really good person. 17 is actually a bit young to marry, though. What are you talking about? If he passed the Blood Shadow Squad, she has to lock him down. Che. This ordeal, I must endure it. A bright future awaits me. Oh, that man. His presence so striking. Shroomhua. Yang Sobek. What? If you had business with me, we could have met at the noodle shop. Why did you suddenly come all the way here? Shroomhua. Why you? The detailed embroidery on her sash, adorned with a precious pearl, signifies her status. Why are you suddenly acting like this? I'm sorry, are you okay? I just did that reflexively without realizing. I am fine. Don't worry, I completely understand how you feel. If someone is embarrassed, it's absolutely normal to hit another person a little. What is he suddenly talking about? Did I hit his head instead of his stomach? His hand gestures, a mix of aggression and desperation. I can marry you this very day. What, marry you this very day? Ha ha ha. The world seems to blur and fracture under the weight of her shock. Don't tell me this guy actually believed the rumors? To think I sold out such an innocent guy just to save myself. You are. Sorry to disappoint you. Actually, that was all because I sold you out. What is the meaning of this? The grand pavilion, known as the Jianyang Pavilion, stands before them. Who is getting married? A figure of immense power and regal bearing emerges, radiating an aura of authority. Whom? Beneath the sun-dappled leaves, a solitary figure awaits. Why are you looking at me like that? Did I do something wrong again? I greet the second young lord. Blood Shadow Squad, 10th Strike Team. My name is Yang Sobek. The 10th Strike Team means you must be a rookie. But this is not the Blood Shadow Squad's quarters, so why are you here? What exactly is your relationship with my personal maid? This lowly one will explain everything. This all stemmed from a small misunderstanding. So please just go back for now. I'll tell you everything later. I understand. I will be waiting. My mind feels so at ease now, as if a time bomb has been defused. Fortunately, like the close friend he is, he understood what I meant right away. It sounded like you received a marriage proposal. Do you actually intend to wed that fellow? No, it's not that. Story might be a bit long, but would you be willing to listen? So, you see, you created a fake lover. Is that what you mean? Yes. To be honest, I thought everything would be resolved through the physician. However, people's suspicions did not fade, so I ended up dragging my friend into this. Though I never dreamed Yang Sobek would actually believe the rumors and come looking for me like that. Seolha. Of course. He and I have been friends since we were running around with runny noses. To me, he is basically another girl. Is that so? Pardon? It is merely a rumor anyway, so I do not see why you had to go through the trouble of making up such a lie. Well, it was for your honor's sake, second young lord. And also for my survival. Who exactly would kill you? No one. I just meant that I would become a target of jealousy for the maids who adore the second young lord. He's thinking about killing someone again. Besides, you must have been terribly displeased to be entangled with a maid like me, second young lord. Everything I did was solely to clear your mood. If I displease him, my head will fly right off. Clearing someone's mood is something you do when the other party is angry. Well, that is true. Since I was never angry at all. It seems you have done something entirely unnecessary. Lord Cheon Gang sits, her expression shifting from a gentle smile to one of quiet contemplation. Are you close with that fellow? Yes, we are very close. He is my best friend, close enough to frequently get free food at my house. What did he mean by what he just said? What kind of person is your grandmother? Did I mention my grandmother before? She is just ordinary. Is that so? I am curious about the taste of her noodles. I must make sure to visit sometime later. It is the most delicious noodle shop to me, but it is far too shabby a place to host you, the second young lord. I will replicate the recipe later and serve it to you as a meal. Where is this place that you call the most delicious? One is also curious about how it tastes. I greet the heavenly demon. What brings you here to this place, father? You have rarely set foot in Jianyang Pavilion before. I've been coming here occasionally of late. Was it you who made Seolha like this? The scattered energies have settled well into your dantian. I was already a bit concerned about it, so you have done well. The heavenly demon also knew about my body's condition. What kind of martial arts did you teach her? Tomorrow, I plan to teach her the 5 elements demonic sword. Oh, is that so? Isn't the progress suddenly way too fast? Would you like to learn martial arts from this one as well? Pardon? How could the heavenly demon personally teach a mere maid? Aha! An opportunity like this does not come often, so accept it. Then just one. I shall teach you whatever martial art you desire. Just what is his intention? Do I really look talented enough for the heavenly demon to teach me? And I want to learn. The title reads, The Heavenly Demon's Favorite Disciple. The night sky is clear, the moon shines brightly. Inside, a warm light emanates from the room. What a spunky girl. Now let's see killer footwork technique. What would suit you best? Yes, that would be perfect. I am not exactly a man of leisure, so I shall only demonstrate this once. You must follow along closely. Lord Cheon Gang faces the heavenly demon, ready to learn. My goodness, the Demon Phoenix Ascendant art. Can I really learn something like that? Lord Cheongang's anticipation is palpable. The Demon Phoenix Ascendant art. It is the exclusive martial art of the Demon Empress. During a past era when the cult fell into chaos due to the heavenly demon's absence, she suddenly appeared and sustained the demonic cult, later yielding the throne to the newly born heavenly demon, before vanishing into history as a legendary figure. To think that I would be the one inheriting her martial arts. The beginning of lightweight footwork is to make the body weightless. The phoenix spreads its wings. The heavenly demon's power emanates. Martial principles of the Demon Phoenix Ascendant art are elasticity, presence, and fusion. I shall recite the mnemonic. So channel your circulated internal energy down to your Yongquan acupoints accordingly. This doesn't seem as difficult as I thought. I feel like I am getting the hang of it the more I do it. This is fun. Sudden, powerful stomp echoes. HM? A swift, powerful strike cuts through the air. The force of the blow creates a violent ripple effect. Oh, it's so high. Another powerful gust of wind follows the strike. Lord Cheongang lunges forward, radiating power. A man with long white hair and dark robes smiles, holding a glowing red object. How is it? The feeling of flying through the sky for the first time. This is exactly the kind of footwork I wanted. Since you possess talent, you will undoubtedly achieve it. Very well. Now that you have practiced a fair bit, would you care to ascend the back mountain? Am I allowed to do that? Once you have learned a skill, you must put it to use. In that case, I shall accompany her. Let us go. I shall accompany you. Oh, I would feel at ease if you went with her, Ijun. Surely you did not expect my father to join you. Well, that is true, but I was hoping to just enjoy a comfortable trip by myself. I shall take my leave now, so practice diligently. Ah yes, thank you for your profound teachings. A shadow falls over the ground. What a fine age to be. A child was exactly like that when she was around that age. Had that child's offspring survived, they would be about that age by now. Do you regret it? For when a man is blinded by affection, he becomes a fool. Even when he knows, it will become a leash around his neck. Whoa! I cannot believe I am actually doing what I have read about countless times in novels. This really is not a dream. Tap. Lady Hua, her hair flowing around her, prepares for action. Come to think of it, it is still a mystery. How did 60 years' worth of internal energy suddenly manifest inside me? No matter how much I ponder, I have absolutely no memory of it. Could Granny have done it? A figure moves with incredible speed. Oh, wait a minute. Before that, is it even possible to transfer nearly 60 years' worth of internal energy into another person's body so easily? Who only knows a tiny bit of martial arts? A sudden jolt. How foolish of me. To lose my concentration and drift off into random thoughts when I am nothing but a novice. Lady Hua plummets downwards. Her expression is one of shock and dismay. I need to stop myself before I crash. But I cannot grab onto anything because of the speed. Oh no. The ground is right in front of me. Jeek Ija. Hand reaches out, offering support. A sudden grasp. A man catches Lady Hua, his expression intense. Lady Hua, caught in his arms, looks up with wide, startled eyes. Lady Hua, caught in his arms, looks up with wide, startled eyes. He carries her through a moonlit forest, the air alive with shimmering particles. Lady Hua, blushing, seems to realize her predicament. She exclaims in disbelief, "Wait, don't tell me I'm currently being carried by Jeek Ijian like a princess." Meanwhile, a chibi-style Lady Hua reacts with shock, while a chibi-style Lord Cheongang holds her. He questions her, his expression stern. "Where are you hurt? Your leg? Your arm?" Lady Hua reassures him, I am fine." Lady Hua smiles, trying to ease his concern. "I was simply startled that the young lord caught me himself. This servant is completely unharmed." She suggests, "So, you may put me down now." Ignoring her plea, he states, "Bear with it for a moment, we're heading to the physician's office." "Right now?" Lady Hua protests, "I am truly perfectly fine." Eek. He continues to carry her through the night, the scene illuminated by glowing orbs. The sound of hurried footsteps echoes. A man, seemingly startled, witnesses Lord Cheongang carrying Lady Hua, who is in his arms. He questions with a... The man exclaims, "Second young lord?" Two figures react with shock and surprise. He asks, "Where is the physician?" As he carries Lady Hua, a subtle note reads, "Accepting her fate." A woman seemingly in charge questions HM while Lord Cheon-gang approaches with Lady Hua. Lord Cheon-gang and Lady Hua stand close, her expression a mix of apprehension and innocence. He remarks, "Well, look who it is." Lady Hua overhears a comment. Is he allowed to speak so casually to the son of the heavenly demon? She wonders, are those too close? A voice asks, "Have you been well?" Man with a stern gaze is shown. Lady Hua, in her chibi form, exclaims, "Maternal uncle." A man, identified as belonging to the Pyo clan, also known as the Thousand Poisons, is introduced. A subtle narration adds, "But who is this child?" A voice states, "So Jeek Ijeon's mother was from the Thousand Poisons Pyo clan." Two gnawed sounds are heard. The narration continues, "That is why Jeek Ijeon is so resilient against poison." A figure is shown with a woman behind them, radiating an ominous aura. She may have sustained internal injuries. Why am I the one dying of embarrassment? How exactly did this happen? She lost her footing and fell from a tree. Madame Kwok's expression is one of deep contemplation, her eyes closed as if pondering a difficult matter. She has no internal injuries whatsoever. She's perfectly fine. How can you say she's fine when her face looks like this? Take a good look at her yourself. Shroomhua is in pain. I never said I was in pain. Wait, Shroomhua? That's Shroomhua? Yes, Elder. I was already curious about what kind of girl you were. To think we would meet like this. Lady Hua looks on with a questioning expression. For now, have her sit here. Let me take a look. Now then. Speaking of this ointment, it possesses the efficacy to completely heal any wound in just a single day. Wow. It also happens to be my masterpiece. I see. Now come closer. I shall apply it for you. No, thank you. This servant should be the one to do it. It would break my heart if a scar were to form on such a lovely face. Furthermore, I cannot allow him to be saddened by something like this. I'm the one who got hurt, so who exactly would be saddened? Ijeon, why are you stepping closer? What? Hey, you punk, what do you think you're doing? Apply it to the wound yourself. Lord Cheon-gang holds her hands, offering the ointment. Lord Cheon-gang looks at her with concern. Yes, thank you. Right, even from your perspective, it's a bit much for a mere maid to receive treatment directly from the physician, isn't it? I will just give you the whole thing, so take it and apply it thoroughly to the injured area. Maternal uncle, you're also a man. Though I doubt such a thing will happen, if your body feels strange even later on, come find me at the physician's office. Thank you, Elder. Being a personal maid isn't so bad. As Jeek Ijeon's maid, I even get special treatment. And to receive such a precious ointment. Sigh. Lord Cheon-gang's eyes sparkle with a gentle warmth. Today is actually a pretty lucky day. Oh my goodness. Why does your face look like this? Did you fall down from somewhere? Haha, I just lost my footing a little on a tree. Changing the subject, more importantly, so okay. Did you go somewhere? Yes. My parents came to visit today. They are incredibly busy with farming and taking care of my younger siblings, but they visited for the first time in 5 years. That's wonderful. They must have enjoyed getting a chance to see the main castle this time. See the main castle? How could my parents ever enter this place? Huh? Can't you just invite them or get an entry permit? Not just anyone can come in here. Maybe if it were the high-ranking folks, but that doesn't apply to people like us. That's not true. And twice at that. How did Granny come to see me? As expected, including the matter of the elixir in my body, there are more than 1 or 2 suspicious points. Madame Shin Jiam. What on earth is her true identity? This is the title of the series. The morning sun shines brightly on the serene courtyard. Okay. As expected, nothing beats meditating and circulating qi when it comes to calming the mind. This ointment is incredibly effective. To think the wound would completely heal after just a single night's sleep. Since my body feels perfectly fine now, I wanted to practice the Demon Phoenix Ascendant art again today, but what if I unthinkingly get on his bad side and he lets loose a furious roar? But I'm too scared to ask. Moments like these will surely come around. Come in. I was waiting. Why is the heavenly demon here first thing in the morning? Come closer. As expected, the demonic physician skills really are excellent. Do you know how startled I was when I heard you were hurt? And my apologies. This lowly one was lacking and made a mistake. Please forgive me. I am not trying to scold you. If anyone is going to be scolded, it should be this brat. Pardon? I trusted you enough to send you with her, yet you could not even stop that? Was that truly all you were capable of? I apologize. Why are you scolding your son? And excuse me, why are you apologizing like it is only natural? Stay calm. How can I keep entrusting Shroomhua to you like this? Entrust her to me? What do you mean? I am just your son's personal maid, you know? I will make sure what happened yesterday never happens again. How can you guarantee that? If you made the mistake once, you could make it again. This will not do after all. I must take Shroomhua to the demonic palace. What? You're taking me where? That cannot be. Shroomhua is my maid. No matter if you are my father, you cannot simply do as you please like this. Yes, Jik Ijian, keep it up. Besides, I heard that once you enter the demonic palace, you can never leave of your own free will. How dare you? You mean to defy my orders, the orders of the heavenly demon? I will gladly accept whatever punishment you hand down. However, I cannot give you Shroomhua. The pressure you exert is overwhelming. You would rather be punished? Do you even know what kind of penalty I would inflict? Before making such a... Please rescind your order. Given her advanced age, she desperately needs my assistance. But if I become a maid at the demonic palace, it would be difficult for me to see her. Please consider my situation, Your Grace. Is your grandmother's condition truly that severe? Yes. Her strength has been failing rapidly of late. Then I suppose it cannot be helped. I wish to keep you by my side and look after you. Your kind words alone are more than enough. Disappointed. As expected, the sick grandmother trope is a classic that never fails. I shall take my leave now. I will be watching from now on. Take good care of Shroomhua. Do not worry. I will not make another mistake. Then I shall see you next time, Shroomhua. Yes, please take care on your way. Phew. This is like some crazy butterfly effect. To think a single mistake while using footwork would lead to a disaster like this. What is it, young lord? What is it now? Why is he staring at me with that look of disapproval? Early tomorrow morning, we are going to Sichuan. Get ready. The soft padding of footsteps echoes on the worn ground. Shielding her eyes from the harsh sun, Lord Cheon-gang squints, the weight of a sleepless night evident in her gaze. Frustration contorts Lord Cheon-gang's face as she clenches her fists. She had considered feigning illness, but her rigorous training had made her too healthy to use such an excuse. A tiny, chibi Lord Cheon-gang appears, a stark contrast to her current predicament. She muses that with great power comes great responsibility, a sentiment that seems to weigh heavily on her. Lord Cheon-gang sighs, the thought that time flies catching her by surprise. She acknowledges that, of course, the weather has to be beautiful on a day like this. Lost in thought, Lord Cheon-gang absent-mindedly plays with a strand of her hair. A flashback reveals a scene where a man and Lord Cheon-gang stood together. The narration states that he went there secretly with only Cheon-gang. A pained exclamation escapes Lord Cheon-gang as she questions why she is going to Sichuan. Lord Cheon-gang stands in a misty landscape contemplating her situation. She doubts that adding one maid will significantly impact the original plot. Lord Cheon-gang admits she is still flustered that the novel's events seem to be changing because of her actions, even as she approaches a grand entrance. A voice calls out Shroomhua. Startled, Shroomhua reacts with a surprised exclamation. A man with a warm smile greets, "You're out early." The man continues, asking, "Did you sleep well last night?" He stands beside another man, who remains stoic. A chibi Lord Cheon-gang exclaims, "It's Cheon-gang," beside a chibi Jik Ijian, who is described as typical. Lord Cheon-gang begins to greet someone, but is cut off as she spots a familiar figure. A man asks, "Are you fully prepared?" While Lord Cheon-gang, looking slightly flustered, confirms, "Why yes, of course." Lord Cheon-gang details her packing. "I packed everything I could possibly think of." She specifically mentions packing a few extra clothes and some small personal items for Shroomhua's pack. Lord Cheon-gang continues, "I also packed a lot of food since Jik Ijian has a massive appetite." She lists beef jerky, rice balls, dried fruit, and many more items. She laments, "Thanks to that, this bundle is ridiculously heavy." The sheer weight of the bundle is emphasized. A moment of quiet contemplation for the dark-haired individual. A group gathers, with a chibi Lord Cheon-gang looking surprised and another character exclaiming with an... One of the companions offers, "I shall carry that for you." A chibi figure explains, we plan to travel to Sichuan using footwork, so a load of that size might be a bit too taxing on your stamina, Seolha. The companion continues, you might fall behind along the way, so it would be better if I carried it. Another voice chimes in, I think so too. A different voice offers, if you feel uncomfortable letting Cheongang carry it, I can take it instead. Lord Cheongang, with a look of polite distress, says, Lord Cheongang, I am terribly sorry to trouble you, but please take it. Lord Cheongang replies, it would be way more uncomfortable to make you work, Jik Aijian. With the preparations seemingly complete, one of them suggests, if everyone is ready, let us head out. Come to think of it, since Sichuan is quite far away, then by the time we return, my contract period might already be over. Guess I've grown attached to him without even realizing it. The air hangs heavy with an unseen presence. It seems we have no choice but to camp out tonight. Lord Cheongang and her companions find themselves in a precarious situation. This must be your first time sleeping outdoors. Will you be all right? Of course. Please do not worry about me, my lord. We're deep in the mountains, and without even the moon out, it wouldn't be strange for a wild beast to pop out from anywhere. Jik Aijian is far scarier than any wild animal. Perfect. It can't compare to the bedding back at the cult. Tree to serve as a roof, luxurious bedding, and grass to act as a cushion. But for the outdoors, this is basically a 5-star hotel. I guess I can just sleep over there. This one is mine, so let us just keep it simple. Oh, this actually feels nice. Oh, I'm kind of excited. Is this my bedroom for tonight? Lord Cheongang is surprised by the arrangement. No, the place where you will sleep is over there, my lord. Prefer this spot. Ha, you go sleep over there. Why pass up the better spot to come here? There are so many stars out. The night sky unfolds in a breathtaking spectacle. Under the vast expanse, a sense of wonder settles. It almost makes me feel like I'm floating right in the middle of a constellation. HM? My reflection stares back, but there's something else in my eyes, a flicker of an unknown presence. The light intensifies, obscuring everything else. Lord Cheongang seems to be contemplating something deeply. Stern, commanding presence emerges, his gaze sharp and unwavering. A soft exclamation escapes her lips. Submerged in water, Lord Cheongang lies still, a single thought echoing in the silence. A jolt of surprise as she questions the strange event that just transpired. Lord Cheongang recalls a peculiar encounter, wondering about Jik Aijian's intense gaze. She questions why she couldn't look away from him, caught in his stare. I seriously don't get it at all. I know I've become quite useful by now, but considering Jik Aijian's actions in the original novel, a powerful figure stands tall, his presence commanding, while a young woman observes from behind. Giving up his bedding was completely out of character for him. Could the story's changes be altering Jik Aijian's personality from the original novel too? A title card appears, signifying a new chapter or segment. An expansive view of a grand, ancient city unfolds, its architecture intricate and vast. Bustling streets of the city are alive with activity, people in traditional attire moving through the marketplace. A young child, excited, rushes forward, reaching out. A grand procession arrives, with Lord Cheongang and 2 imposing figures flanking her. I can't believe it only took a fortnight to get to Sichuan from the main cult. It was definitely worth running non-stop except for sleeping. Since we need to clean ourselves up, shall we find a place to stay first? Place to stay? Lord Cheongang turns, her expression thoughtful as she faces the imposing figure. I don't know if an inn would even accept us. If the second young lord is staying, it has to be a luxury inn. A man with a confident smile, his gaze steady. You can look forward to it. Serene courtyard with bridges over flowing water where several figures are gathered. H-. Lord Cheongang is startled, looking up in awe. This place is amazing. I expected as much from the grand exterior, but the interior has an even more luxurious atmosphere. Welcome. The grand doors swing open, revealing an interior that surpasses even the opulent exterior. A warm welcome echoes through the halls, promising a luxurious experience. So-Ka's eyes widen in disbelief as she whispers, did she say HWOL? The building, which appeared to be a high-class lodging establishment, is actually a front for the demonic cult's liaison office. Lord Cheongang, overhearing this revelation, muses, no wonder he seemed so confident. He knew a place that could never turn down the son of the heavenly demon. The smile on his face spoke volumes of his assuredness. Amidst the tense atmosphere, a voice cuts through. Which would you like to use first? A low growl rumbles in response. Amidst the unfolding tension, someone suggests, let us eat first. So okay, flustered by the turn of events, mutters, understood. I am so embarrassed. A soft clack echoes as a cup is placed on the table. The attendant addresses the group. Take your time looking over the menu and let me know. A man with a stern gaze asks, since you have come all the way to Sichuan, would you like a drink as well? Lady Hua, looking uncertain, is asked, what kind would you prefer? Alcohol? Lady Hua reflects, come to think of it, since coming to this world, my age was reverted and I haven't had any chances to drink, so I've been under a forced sobriety. She wonders aloud, I wonder if I can have a sip today too. The man poses a question, why don't you choose? Lady Hua, taken aback, asks, pardon? He clarifies, do you mean me? Yes, I do not mind either way. Lady Hua ponders, I don't mind any kind of alcohol either. I need to know what it tastes like to order something. Suddenly, Madame Kwok exclaims, come to think of it, wasn't there a drink Granny used to enjoy? Lady Hua's eyes light up with curiosity. I've always been curious about what it tastes like, so this is perfect. I should order that. With a decisive nod, Lady Hua declares, then I shall go with Zweiking. A gentle clack as the drink is served. The man acknowledges their efforts. You have worked hard to get all the way here. Lady Hua beams, clearly enjoying the moment. Eat and drink to your heart's content today. She takes a sip, eyes wide with wonder. I'm finally getting to taste something I've only read about in novels. Suddenly, Lady Hua gasps, a violent cough racking her body as the potent drink hits her. The force of the cough is so strong it sends her reeling. Cough. Stuttering, she manages to say, wait a minute. Her eyes are wide with shock and a hint of panic. This is incredibly strong. Granny drank this like it was nothing, saying it was delicious. The man leans in, a smile playing on his lips. How is it? Is it to your taste? The man offers a drink, his gaze intense. Drink as much as you like, as I will pour it for you myself. So okay, looking flustered, clutches her cup. There is plenty. I'll order more if it's not enough. Madame Kwok's voice cuts through the air, questioning, aren't you going to drink, Lord Cheongang? Scene shifts to a wider view of the three women gathered around a table, the man pouring drinks. A man with his hair tied back smiles faintly. The Zweiking taste is wonderful. Thank you for the offer, but I make it a rule not to drink when I am away from home. Shin Sealha's voice echoes, though the second young lord's martial arts skills are outstanding, I must still fulfill my responsibility as a bodyguard. Another voice chimes in, IIC. Softer, more concerned voice adds, his dedication is admirable, but it's a bit a pity today. The image focuses on a cup, revealing a reflection of a young woman with flowers in her hair. A thought bubble appears. Ugh, I can't look pathetic when I'm the one who ordered it. Lord Cheongang, holding a cup, looks down with a conflicted expression. Yeah, what's the worst that could happen? Lord Cheongang sits on a balcony overlooking a serene night scene, taking a drink. Scene transitions to a more ethereal background as a thought surfaces. I used to be an office worker in my past life who could survive up to the third round of company drinking parties. Awaken heavy drinker genes. The background remains abstract, with decorative elements floating around. A thought bubble reads, I was definitely like that. Lady Hua, looking quite drunk with swirling patterns around her, mutters, oh. A hand reaches for a cup, the background a soft, textured pattern. Hand continues to reach, the scene focusing on the cup. Before the food we ordered could even arrive. A man stands behind Lord Cheongang, who appears to be collapsing onto a table, her face buried in her hands. Lord Cheongang is shown with her eyes closed, her face flushed, seemingly asleep. The background is filled with soft, ethereal elements. The man gently places the sleeping Lord Cheongang into a bed. To think she would fall asleep after just a few cups. Another man chuckles. She must have been incredibly exhausted. The first man adds, she did push herself too hard. The man with the ponytail smiles. But isn't it impressive nonetheless? A kid who just learned footwork managed to keep up like that. It seems she has an innate talent for the martial arts. The other man muses, talent, you say? A close-up on the man's eyes reveals a hint of concern. If that were all there was to it, it would be a relief. I knew the second young lord especially doted on Seolha. A stern voice declares, I shall carry her myself, so do not touch her. The man carrying Lord Cheongang looks back at the other, but I never expected him to block me from even carrying her. The man watches over the sleeping Lord Cheongang, a thoughtful expression on his face. Second young lord possibly feel that way about Seolha. The man with the ponytail looks forward, his expression shifting. What happened with the investigation I gave you? The man carrying the unconscious Lord Cheongang replies, as I reported previously, there were no notable anomalies. Because of that, I investigated her past as well, but seems you learned nothing. Present, that is correct. I have no excuse. How can there be such a complete lack of clues? A shimmering, ethereal light fills the scene as a young woman's face, bathed in its glow, appears. Just what on earth is that woman's identity? Why don't you try asking the elder physician for help? Yes, this ointment is my masterpiece. I heard the elder physician gave all of the ointment he treasured so much to Shroomhua. And though he has his eccentricities, he is not one to do such a thing without reason. Could he have given it to her because he knows something about Shroomhua? Are you perhaps that Shroomhua who became this fellow's personal maid? Even though it was their first meeting, he was strangely favorable towards Shroomhua. Very well. Once we return, I shall head to the physician's office first. Then I shall excuse myself to check tomorrow's schedule. Rest comfortably. A pensive expression crosses the face of the man, lost in thought. A close-up on a bed, draped with ornate fabrics and scattered with delicate flowers, suggesting a peaceful rest. The suspicious energies that were permeating her entire body. I have been looking into it all this time to unearth it, but I have not found a single clue yet. Originally, I kept her around just to see what she would do, since she audaciously called me a disaster, but to think I would end up being swayed instead. A woman lies peacefully in a bed, surrounded by flowers, her expression serene. But to think I would end up being swayed instead. Whenever other guys flirt with Shroomhua, my mood turns strangely unpleasant. And when I saw her being held hostage and put in danger, at that moment my blood... A close-up on a furious eye, filled with rage and determination. The reason I brought Shroomhua to Sichuan was also out of anxiety that father might take her away behind my back. Just what on earth is this emotion? A woman sleeps peacefully, surrounded by a vibrant array of flowers, her face radiating a gentle smile. I cannot ask anyone about this, nor is it easy to figure out on my own. A man with long, flowing dark hair gazes forward, his expression serene yet thoughtful. For now, I suppose I should keep her by my side and watch. Sunlight streams through an ornate window, dappling the leaves of a nearby plant with a soft glow. The interior of a grand room, dominated by an elaborate four-poster bed with intricate carvings and decorative lanterns. A woman, Lord Cheongang, clutches her head, her expression one of deep discomfort and pain. Lord Cheongang recoils, her head throbbing with an unbearable ache. Her eyes are wide with distress. Lord Cheongang questions the peculiar taste of a drink, her brow furrowed in confusion and disgust. The room's ambience shifts as Lord Cheongang declares she will never drink the peculiar beverage again, her stomach churning unpleasantly. A gasp escapes as something shocking is revealed. Lord Cheongang, in her chibi form, looks up with wide, startled eyes as an adult figure addresses her. Second young lord inquires about Lord Cheongang's well-being, his gaze sharp and observant. He explains his initial assumption about her drinking habits based on a subtle gesture. The second young lord continues, admitting his surprise at her low alcohol tolerance. Lord Cheongang, in her chibi form, laughs lightly, acknowledging her body's surprising weakness to alcohol. Second young lord reminds her of their planned move, then dismisses the urgency. He explains his intention to teach her a method to counteract alcohol poisoning, just in case. Lord Cheongang looks on with wide, questioning eyes, a single exclamation mark indicating her surprise. The second young lord observes Lord Cheongang's quick reflexes as she reacts to his presence. Lord Cheongang, in her chibi form, giggles, expressing her eagerness to learn. He concedes, a hint of resignation in his voice. Lord Cheongang sits in meditation, surrounded by a soft, ethereal glow, attempting to complete a macrocosmic orbit. Sudden surge of energy disrupts Lord Cheongang's practice. She questions the nature of this disturbance. The second young lord stands before a kneeling Lord Cheongang, observing her intently. He explains the simple principle behind expelling alcohol's toxins. Lord Cheongang expresses confusion at the concept of seizing and burning impurities with internal energy. She admits that the explanation is difficult to grasp. Lord Cheongang asks for clarification on how she is supposed to perform the burning. Lord Cheongang attempts the technique, a swirling vortex of blue energy erupting around her. Blue energy intensifies, crackling with power. Lord Cheongang is enveloped in a brilliant display of blue energy, her eyes closed in concentration. The energy surges outwards, a powerful wave of light and force. The energy surges outwards, a powerful wave of light and force. So this is why he said to burn them. The headache really vanished and my body feels much more refreshed. Wait a minute. Don't tell me the stench of stale alcohol is coming from me? First, it would be best for you to wash your body. Yes, if I could, I'd rather just faint all over again. The title of the series. The sun begins to set over the traditional architecture, casting a warm orange glow. Two figures stand on a cobblestone path, their traditional attire catching the light. She's late. She's probably not used to wearing clothes so different from her usual ones. Let's give her a bit of time. Are you sure it's okay for me to wear something this expensive? It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're only dressing you to match the place we're about to visit. Still, I didn't think he'd actually buy me clothes. We could have just rented something from the inn. It's my first time wearing something this pretty since I possess this body. My heart's kind of fluttering. Look nice. It suits you. Huh? Jeek Ijeon already looks unfairly handsome as it is, so hearing even a casual "you look pretty" from him feels weird. A figure in red offers a hand to another, a gesture of support or guidance. Where we're going now, a lot of illegal business goes on. Is this veil attached to the bamboo hat? Yes. A sly smile plays on the lips of a figure partially hidden by a wide-brimmed hat. I'll guide you to the black market. The series title appears against a starry night sky, illuminated by a crescent moon. A grand, traditional building stands under the night sky, its architecture intricate and imposing. Two figures sit in chairs, their faces obscured by wide-brimmed hats and veils. Scene opens to reveal a vast, ornate hall filled with rows of seats, suggesting a formal gathering or marketplace. Oh, so this is the black market, that illegal auction house they say only opens once a year. Even in the original story, they never revealed who really runs this place. It's suspicious in all sorts of ways. Please have a seat here. But at least the items they auction off are all said to be genuine. What are you doing? Sit next to me already. Ah yes. Honored guests of the Jianghu. Thank you for coming from so far away. I know you're all busy people, so let's skip the chit-chat. We'll get right into our very first auction item. Our first item is the Wind Soul Pill. Wind Soul Pill is an elixir created by the Wind Soul sect. The Wind Soul sect may have been small, but when it came to crafting elixirs, they were second to none. Unfortunately, the sect was wiped out by vile demonic cultivators. Still, our black market has secured a special item from the sect leader's hidden treasury, which even the demonic cult missed. Now then, we'll start the bidding at 300,000 Niang. 400,000. 500. Any warrior would go crazy for a pill like that, so it's worth paying attention. I'm bored. Well, that's exactly like Jeek Ijeon. If he's not interested, he doesn't even glance at it. Thank you for your patience. Imagine many of you came here for this particular item. We'll reveal it right now. Here it comes. Today's highlight, and the very reason second young master came all the way to Sichuan. The heaven-sundering divine sword, as a legendary divine weapon, will start at 2 million. 3 million. For million, the bidding jumped to a whole different league. Aside from the fact that its previous owner was the Sword Emperor, no one knows exactly when it was forged or who created it. Nothing about it is certain. Jeek Ijeon did seize that sword and unify the martial world. But personally, I think he achieved everything not because of the sword, but because he's just absurdly competent. Not that he seems to see it that way. A hand reaches out, poised. 50 million. The scene shifts to two figures in veiled hats, their expressions tense as a powerful aura emanates from below. Oh, I have 50 million. Any higher offers? Sold. Congratulations to the winning bidder. Good. Just like in the original, the heaven-sundering divine sword ended up with Jeek Ijeon. With how much the story's been deviating lately, I was starting to get nervous. Now, for our final item of the night. One I've been most eager to see since before we came here. It is said that if you gift this bracelet to the one you love, your love is guaranteed to come true. A hand reaches towards a treasure chest, revealing a delicate bracelet within. The bracelet, adorned with shimmering gems, glows with an ethereal light. And they let it go for a mere 300,000 Niang. I feel frustrated just watching. The scene is filled with a sense of urgency and disbelief. 1,000,000 niang. A figure in elegant attire raises a hand, a gesture of authority. Do you even know what that thing is? Two figures, one seated and one standing, are observed in a grand hall. How can you throw down 1,000,000 niang on some random bracelet? The title of the series appears, rendered in ornate calligraphy. Magnificent sword, its blade catching the light, is presented. Chim. Not bad. He looks so uninterested back at the auction, but I guess he actually likes it quite a bit. Well, he did come all the way to Sichuan to buy it. It'd be a disaster if he didn't like it. More importantly, Lord Cheongang stood with her arms crossed, a hint of unease in her expression as she surveyed the ornate boxes. She seemed lost in thought, her hand gently touching her cheek. I honestly have no idea what went through his head when he bought it. She mused it would look good on him, though. A tall man with a commanding presence, adorned in a striking red cloak, held out a delicate bracelet. Wanna try it on? Lord Cheongang's eyes widened in surprise, her expression shifting to one of confusion. Sir? Emmy? She stammered, her voice laced with disbelief. Yes, didn't you want it? Seemed especially focused on it earlier. The voice continued as Lord Cheongang looked away, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. Wait a second. The man's gaze was intense, his expression unreadable as he observed her. From a distance, the man asked, "You don't like accessories?" Lord Cheongang gestured frantically. "I'm fine." "It's not that," Lord Cheongang began, her smile returning, though a hint of nervousness remained. "It just feels far too extravagant for someone like me. So please take it back." The man's response was curt. "Is that so? And I'll just throw it away," the man declared, his expression shifting to a playful, almost menacing form. "Ha!" Lord Cheongang cried out. "Throw it away? Why?" A small note appeared. "He paid 1,000,000 niang for it." "Because I have no use for it," the man stated flatly. The man held the bracelet, his gaze thoughtful. No, that won't do. Someone might pick it up, so I should just destroy it instead," he declared, his hand clenching. Lord Cheongang looked on in alarm. His fist tightened around the delicate bracelet, the beads beginning to glow. "No, you can't. Do you know how precious that is?" Lord Cheongang shrieked, her face contorted in distress. "If you truly don't want it, it's far too much for someone like me. I will gratefully accept it," she exclaimed, snatching the bracelet. "Wise choice," the man responded calmly. "Young master," an attendant whispered, looking at Lord Cheongang. "I've just received something incredible." A different man, his expression stern, stated, "We should be moving." Lord Cheongang and the first man walked together, a sense of urgency in their stride. The flies are already starting to gather. Title card, Chunmasingur Cheganghaner 20. The scene shifts to a serene forest bathed in ethereal blue light, leaves shimmering with a magical aura. Lord Cheongang descends gracefully from above, landing amidst the man in the red cloak and another figure. Lord Cheongang speaks, her voice calm despite the rapid journey. "Thanks to running without rest, we've gotten quite far from Chengdu." The majestic architecture of the main sex compound comes into view, nestled amongst lush trees under a bright sky. Her expression is contemplative as she says, "And once we're back, I'll start preparing to resign. Maybe because my daily life with Jeek Ijeon has been more fun than I expected," Lord Cheongang mused, looking at the man in the red cloak. A small, exasperated sound escaped Lord Cheongang. "Ha!" She looked up, a curious glint in her eyes, the bracelet now adorning her wrist. "So this would be my retirement gift, then? When you activate its hidden mechanism." A figure sits in deep meditation, bathed in an ethereal glow. Lord Cheongang's eyes flutter open, her cheeks flushed with a soft blush. "I already have over 60 years' worth of cultivation stored up." Her hand, adorned with a vibrant bracelet, is raised as she speaks. "And if I add everything I gain through the 7-color rainbow ring on top of that, this is so insane, I don't even know what to say." Lord Cheongang covers her mouth, overwhelmed by the realization. Becoming an absolute top master doesn't sound like a dream anymore. A foot clad in a dark boot stands firmly on the ground. "You claim to hate it." The figure looks up at Lord Cheongang, a knowing smile on their face. "But it looks like you're quite fond of it after all." Lord Cheongang lets out a small, flustered Lord Cheongang looks down, her expression a mixture of embarrassment and gratitude. "I was so flustered receiving something so far above my station," she continues, her gaze softening, "that I didn't even thank you properly earlier." Standing before the other figure, Lord Cheongang bows her head slightly. "I will never forget the favor you've shown me." The other figure simply replies, "That's enough." Lord Cheongang looks up, a gentle smile gracing her lips. "If you're happy, then I am too." She then hears a questioning voice. "Sir?" The question hangs in the air, cut short. "What do you Sudden exclamation of surprise breaks the moment as both figures look towards an unseen event. A group of hooded figures emerges from the shadows surrounding the main characters. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen in alarm. They're finally here. Man beside her remains calm, a slight smile playing on his lips. We're completely surrounded. The narrator continues, and yet he acts like he's been waiting for them. One of the hooded assailants draws his sword, his voice a low growl. I'll keep it simple. Hand over that sword if you want to live. Another figure prepares to draw their weapon. Before being cut off. No, I'll handle this. Man from before steps forward, a confident smirk on his face. Actually, this is perfect. His intense gaze pierces through the darkness, a predatory glint in his eyes. Shin Seolha watches with wide eyes as Lord Cheongang prepares for battle. It'll be your first time seeing real combat, Seolha. Watch carefully and learn what you can. The clash of steel rings out as a sword meets a blade, sparks flying. Shin Seolha gasps, her eyes wide with disbelief. That's Demon Life Sword, first form, Demon Army Suppression? The sword glows with power, ready to strike. Devastating blow is unleashed, the force of the attack rippling outwards. The man moves with incredible speed, his footwork a blur as he engages the attackers. And his footwork is the demon life step he taught me. The combatants exchange blows, the air crackling with energy. His movements aren't exactly slow. Shin Seolha watches intently, her mind racing to keep up. But at my level, I can still follow what's happening. A sudden warning rings out as a figure lunges forward, blade in hand, radiating a dark aura. A close-up reveals an intense, determined gaze, eyes sharp and focused. A blinding flash of light erupts, signaling a powerful strike. Amidst the chaos, Lord Cheongang stands composed, her gaze steady. Snap! The realization hits Lord Cheongang hard. Why did I ever think? Scene explodes with energy as combat unfolds. A voice from above questions. Jik Ijeon had changed from how he was in the original. A swift, decisive blow lands, followed by a sharp cry of exertion. A voice cuts through the noise. He's exactly. The warrior unleashes a torrent of energy, sword glowing with power. Lord Cheongang's eyes widen, caught in a dazzling display of purple energy. The title of the series appears, Heavenly Sword's Fierce Daughter. A gentle breeze rustles through a sun-drenched forest, petals drifting down. A soft sound, crunch. Lady Hua, her expression curious, asks a towering figure beside her. You see it? Lady Hua looks up, a hint of surprise on her face. A radiant sunrise illuminates a grand city, the name Hua appearing in the sky. The two figures continue their conversation. One exclaims, that is, while the other reassures, yes, we'll be arriving soon. A young woman, her face flushed, mutters, back to my hometown in 12 days. Can't believe I'm making a comeback already. Another voice chimes in, we left in such a rush I didn't even get to tell Grandma, so the first thing I'm doing is going straight to see Madame Shinjiam. A third voice adds, honestly, I didn't expect Seolha to keep up this well. The young woman continues, with solid inner power backing it. The Demon Empress's technique shines even brighter, plus the hidden ability of the 7-color rainbow ring. She smiles coyly, a hint of mischief in her eyes. A contemplative thought surfaces, so there's no way Jik Ijeon or Cheongang would know. Recalling their departure, the thought arises. When we first set out, I thought we'd be gone for ages, but here we are, back in just 1 month. A stark reminder appears. Contract term left 2 weeks. She muses, I should spend the remaining time finding candidates that suit Jik Ijeon's taste and hand things over properly to them. Confident declaration is made. A true pro leaves their post beautifully. Once we reach the main sect, I'll devote myself fully to the personal maid duties I've been neglecting. Firm no is stated, cutting through the pleasantries. A stern gaze is fixed on the person speaking. As soon as we arrive, you're coming somewhere with me. The title of the series is displayed again amidst a bright, ethereal sky. A question is posed, where is the head physician? Followed by a small, inquisitive HM. The scene shifts to an interior, focusing on a detailed wooden cabinet filled with various containers. Scene shifts to an interior, focusing on a detailed wooden cabinet filled with various containers. A voice echoes, so this is where you were headed. The voice continues, to see elder physician. The scene then reveals 2 figures, one with long, dark hair tied back in a ponytail, and another with light brown hair in side buns. A smaller, chibi-style depiction of the woman with dark hair appears, questioning, but why bring me along? The man with the ponytail addresses the other figure, stating, Master is currently with an esteemed guest. The woman with the ponytail, Lord Cheon-gang, looks away with a slightly annoyed expression. She retorts, "As soon as their meeting is over, I'll escort you in, so please wait a little." The woman with the sidebuns, so okay, reacts with a flustered expression and stammers, "And no, I didn't mean it like." She then observes the situation and murmurs to herself, "Judging by how he's pressing him, this must be something pretty important." Three figures walk through a grand hall. One of them asks, "Is the heavenly demon here?" The man with the ponytail, who appears to be a subordinate, replies, "That as well, no." A close-up on the ornate boots of Lord Cheon-gang. The dialogue continues, "If it's not father, and not any of the clan heads." Lord Cheon-gang looks intently at the attendant, demanding, "Then who exactly is visiting?" The attendant replies with a hint of resignation, "My apologies, I don't know either." A faint, almost mocking ha is heard. The attendant's face contorts in surprise and fear as he's addressed. "An esteemed guest comes to the infirmary, and you, master's disciple, don't know who it is?" Lord Cheon-gang's expression turns cold and menacing, her eyes narrowing. She asks with chilling intensity, "Do you take me for a fool?" The attendant stands beside So-okay, both looking apprehensive. Lord Cheon-gang, now facing the attendant and So-okay, commands, "Lead the way." The attendant begins to protest, but master said no one is to be let in. Lord Cheon-gang cuts him off sharply. "Do I look like I'm asking because I don't know the way?" A close-up on Lord Cheon-gang's intense gaze, followed by a moment of silence. Lord Cheon-gang states, "This way then." Group walks through the dimly lit corridors. A man with long, dark hair and a goatee is revealed. Someone announces, "Master, it's Jong Myung." The man, Jong Myung, responds with a simple "Hm" as he sits at a low table. He asks, "What is it?" and is informed, "Second young master is here to see you." So-okay looks on, questioning, "Just who is he with that?" The sentence trails off. Jong Myung, seemingly unfazed, states, "He doesn't bother coming out to greet him? Tell him I'll come once I'm done here. Have him wait." The attendant replies, "Yes, master," as a powerful energy seems to surge. A sound effect indicating a sudden event. The scene shows a room in disarray, with shattered objects and a bright flash of light. Jong Myung is shown kneeling, looking shocked. So-okay and another attendant are depicted in a chibi style, reacting with alarm. A warrior with flowing dark hair and a sword stands ready, a faint aura of power surrounding him. He questions the forceful entry, asking, "Why are you breaking a perfectly good door?" Suddenly, a furious roar erupts from the warrior, "Ion, you brat!" He recoils, eyes wide with disbelief and anger, demanding, "What do you think you're doing?" Another voice retorts, "What do you think?" Scene shifts to an interior where two figures stand facing each other. One, dressed in formal attire, states, "I wanted to catch a glimpse of our esteemed guest." The other, clearly displeased, exclaims, "What did you say?" A man with long dark hair and a confident smirk suggests, "Come now. If they're so important, shouldn't you be introducing them to your only nephew?" His words continue, but instead, "It feels like you're going out of your way to keep us from meeting." The other figure reacts with stunned silence. A close-up on intense eyes suggests a dawning realization or a building challenge. The speaker begins, so then, declaration is made, directed towards someone unseen, to the person standing with their back to us. A young woman with dark hair and a green dress stands beside a warrior, who explains, "This is the first time my uncle has ever yelled at me like this, so I simply have to see the face of the one responsible." The camera focuses on a young girl with long dark hair adorned with flowers. She looks towards someone off-panel and asks, "Won't you turn around for me?" In a wider shot, we see the scene unfolding in a traditional room. Several figures are present, with one person seated at a low table. A voice exclaims in surprise, "Achu." Perspective shifts to a person sitting, their back to us, wearing a green robe. A thought crosses their mind, that familiar back. The scene shows the same figures from before, with the warrior and the young woman in the green dress now in the foreground, facing someone. The warrior seems to be speaking, while the young woman looks on with a worried expression. The young girl with the green dress and floral hair ornaments is shown with a look of shock and disbelief, her hand outstretched. She exclaims, "Elder physicians, esteemed guests." The shocking revelation hits. My grandma, an elderly woman with a warm smile, is seen, chuckling, "Ha!" The title card appears, displaying the name of the series in ornate calligraphy.